Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're starting Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, the fifth book in J.K. Rowling's beloved series. This installment takes a darker and more intense turn, diving deep into themes of resistance, government corruption, and the emotional struggles Harry faces as he grows into a true leader. The story picks up during the summer after the Goblet of Fire, where Harry is isolated from the wizarding world and tormented by nightmares of Cedric Diggory's death and Voldemort's return. However, the Ministry of Magic is in denial, labeling Harry and Dumbledore as liars. Things take a turn when Dementors attack Harry and Dudley in Little Winging, leading to Harry's expulsion from Hogwarts, at least until he faces a hearing at the Ministry. Meanwhile, he is whisked away to number 12, Grimmauld Place, the headquarters of the secretive Order of the Phoenix, where he learns that a war is brewing in the wizarding world. At Hogwarts, things become even more difficult with the arrival of Dolores Umbridge, a ministry-appointed professor who soon gains control over the school with oppressive rules. With the ministry refusing to teach proper defense against the dark arts, Harry and his friends form Dumbledore's army to prepare for the battles ahead. As the book progresses, Harry struggles with visions linked to Voldemort, an increasing sense of isolation, and a prophecy that will define his destiny. The story builds up to a dramatic confrontation at the Department of Mysteries, where the truth about the prophecy is finally revealed, but not without devastating consequences. With powerful themes of loss, defiance, and the burden of destiny, Order of the Phoenix is a turning point in the Harry Potter series. Get ready as we explore each chapter in detail, covering key moments, hidden details, and differences from the movie. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 1 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Dudley Demented. This chapter sets the stage for Harry's most challenging year yet, filled with isolation, frustration, and an ominous encounter with the Dementors in Little Winging. The chapter begins during a sweltering summer at Privet Drive, where Harry is spending another miserable holiday with the Dursleys. Unlike previous summers, he is feeling increasingly cut off from the wizarding world, frustrated by the lack of news about Voldemort's return. His only connection to the magical world is through the Daily Prophet, which he reads whenever he can get his hands on it, but it offers him no real answers. The only letters he receives are from Ron, Hermione, and Sirius, but they provide little information, deepening his irritation. One evening, Harry is lying in the flower bed outside the Dursleys' house, trying to catch news from the Muggle television. Suddenly, his peaceful eavesdropping is interrupted by his Uncle Vernon, leading to yet another argument. In a fit of anger, Harry storms off, wandering through the streets of Little Winging. As he walks, he encounters his cousin Dudley Dursley, who has grown into a local bully, intimidating younger children in the neighborhood. The two exchange insults, but their spat is abruptly interrupted when the air turns icy and an unnatural darkness descends upon them. To Harry's horror, two Dementors appear in the alley, attacking both him and Dudley. Harry manages to cast a Patronus charm, summoning a glowing silver stag that repels the Dementors. However, the experience leaves Dudley in a state of shock and near collapse. As the Dementors retreat, an unexpected source of trouble emerges. Mrs. Fig, the eccentric old woman who lives nearby, arrives at the scene. To Harry's amazement, she reveals that she knows all about the wizarding world, signaling that things are about to take a drastic turn. Key moments in the chapter include Harry's growing frustration and isolation at Privet Drive, highlighting his anger over being left in the dark about Voldemort's return. The tension between Harry and the Dursleys, especially his resentment toward their mistreatment. The shocking appearance of Dementors in Little Winging, marking a significant and mysterious threat in the Muggle world. Harry successfully using a Patronus charm to defend himself and Dudley. Mrs. Fig revealing her connection to the wizarding world, hinting that Harry is being watched more closely than he realized. Differences between the book and the movie. In the book, Harry is shown actively seeking news of Voldemort, expressing his frustration at being kept in the dark. The movie briefly touches on this, but doesn't explore his emotions in as much depth. The confrontation between Harry and Dudley in the book is longer and more detailed, emphasizing Dudley's bullying and Harry's growing anger. Mrs. Figg's involvement is more pronounced in the book, as she not only scolds Harry for putting away his wand, but also reveals that she has been keeping an eye on him on Dumbledore's orders. That wraps up Chapter 1, Dudley Demented. This opening chapter foreshadows the challenges Harry will face throughout the book, from being kept in the dark to the Ministry's interference in his life. Let us know your favorite moment in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 2.
Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 2 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled A Peck of Owls. This chapter is packed with tension as Harry faces the consequences of using magic in front of a muggle, leading to a flood of owls delivering critical messages. Let's explore the chaos, confrontations, and shocking revelations in this pivotal chapter. After using a Patronus to save himself and Dudley from Dementors, Harry returns home to 4, Privet Drive, only to be bombarded with a series of owls delivering urgent messages. The first is from the Ministry of Magic, informing him that he has been expelled from Hogwarts for performing underage magic and that his wand will be snapped. Stunned, Harry is left reeling until another owl from Arthur Weasley warns him not to leave the house or surrender his wand just yet. Before Harry can process these messages, yet another owl arrives, this time from Sirius Black, advising him to stay put and not act rashly. The chaos escalates when Vernon Dursley, infuriated by Dudley's condition, demands to know what happened. Harry struggles to explain the Dementors, but the Muggle family has no frame of reference for such creatures. Vernon eventually believes Harry when Dudley, shaken and traumatized, mumbles about the darkness and the cold. Things take an even sharper turn when a final letter arrives from Dumbledore himself, stating that Harry's case is under review and he should remain at Privet Drive. While this message provides some relief, Harry is still filled with anxiety and frustration over the Ministry's actions. His emotions boil over into a furious outburst, accusing the wizarding world of treating him unfairly. The final blow comes when Aunt Petunia, of all people, reacts to the word Dementor with recognition, revealing that she once overheard that awful boy, James Potter, telling Lily about them. This shocking admission proves that she has known far more about the wizarding world than she ever let on. However, before Vernon can throw Harry out, Petunia receives a chilling, unsigned howler stating only, "Remember my last, Petunia." This cryptic message terrifies her into insisting that Harry must stay, leaving both Harry and Vernon utterly bewildered. The chapter ends with Harry feeling isolated, confused, and deeply frustrated. His anger at being kept in the dark, combined with the Ministry's immediate punishment and Petunia's unexpected knowledge, sets the stage for the growing divide between him and the wizarding world in the chapters to come. Key moments in the chapter include, Harry receives a shocking letter from the Ministry of Magic, expelling him from Hogwarts for using underage magic. An urgent follow-up message from Arthur Weasley advises him not to give up his wand. Sirius Black warns Harry to stay put and not act impulsively. Vernon Dursley interrogates Harry about Dudley's trauma and finally believes in the Dementors. Aunt Petunia unexpectedly recognizes the term Dementor and recalls something from Lily and James' past. A mysterious howler arrives, telling Petunia, "Remember my last." This frightens her into letting Harry stay. Book versus movie differences. This chapter was entirely omitted from Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, 2007. The film skips over the tension caused by the Ministry's immediate response, Petunia's shocking knowledge, and the mysterious howler. Instead, Harry is seen only briefly at Privet Drive before being rescued by the Order. This omission removes a crucial layer of mystery and tension surrounding Harry's connection to the Ministry and Dumbledore's quiet interference.
Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 3 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Advance Guard. This chapter marks a turning point as Harry finally escapes the oppressive environment of Privet Drive and is introduced to the mysterious Order of the Phoenix. Let's break down the key moments, important character interactions, and differences from the movie. After days of frustration and isolation at Privet Drive, Harry is finally rescued by a group of wizards known as the Advance Guard. The chapter begins with Harry impatiently waiting for information about what's happening in the wizarding world after the Dementor attack. Suddenly, his brooding is interrupted by a strange noise downstairs. Enter the Advance Guard. A group of wizards, led by Mad-Eye Moody, arrives to escort Harry to a safe location. The members include Alistair Mad-Eye Moody, the grizzled ex-Auror, always on high alert; Nymphadora Tonks, a young, lively Auror with the ability to change her appearance at will, Metamorphagus; Kingsley Shacklebolt, a calm and composed Auror, working undercover at the Ministry of Magic; Remus Lupin, Harry's former defense against the dark arts professor and a trusted friend. Emmeline Vance, Sturgis Podmore, Hestia Jones, and Daedalus Diggle, other members of the Order. The wizards explain that Harry must be transported secretly to a new location, and they take extra precautions to avoid attracting unwanted attention. The journey to 12 Grimmauld Place with brooms as their mode of transport. The group flies over London under the cover of night. During the journey, Harry is mesmerized by the sight of the vast city beneath him. He also observes the tense and serious nature of his escorts, further emphasizing the gravity of the situation. They finally reach 12 Grimmauld Place, the secret headquarters of the Order of the Phoenix, where the next chapter unfolds with new revelations. Key moments in the chapter: Harry is finally freed from Privet Drive, breaking his cycle of isolation. The introduction of key Order of the Phoenix members, particularly Tonks, whose playful nature contrasts with the tense atmosphere. The concept of the Fidelius charm, which makes a location invisible and undetectable unless the secret keeper reveals it. The flight over London, an exciting moment that showcases the vastness of the wizarding and Muggle worlds side by side. Book versus movie differences in the movie. Harry's rescue is rushed, with minimal focus on the advance guard. Many members, like Sturgis Podmore and Hestia Jones, are completely left out. The movie omits the details of flying over London, whereas in the book, this moment builds suspense and highlights the secrecy of the mission. Tonks' metamorphogus abilities are better showcased in the book, where she changes her appearance multiple times for fun. The movie briefly shows this but doesn't emphasize it as much. The tension surrounding Harry's isolation and his first interactions with the Order members are more fleshed out in the book. That wraps up Chapter 3, The Advance Guard. This chapter introduces new allies and sets the stage for Harry's deeper involvement with the Order of the Phoenix. What did you think of the Advance Guard? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe to Boundless Books for more in-depth Harry Potter chapter breakdowns. Next up, Chapter 4, Number 12, Grimmauld Place, where Harry discovers the hidden world of the Order.
Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 4 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Number 12, Grimmauld Place. In this chapter, Harry finally learns about the secret headquarters of the Order of the Phoenix and reunites with his closest friends. However, his frustration and confusion grow as he realizes how much has been kept from him. Let's explore this pivotal chapter. Harry, along with Mad-Eye Moody, Lupin, and the other Order members, arrives at Number 12, Grimmauld Place, which is hidden from Muggles and protected by powerful enchantments. He is shocked to find that the house belongs to Sirius Black's family. Inside, he meets Ron, Hermione, Ginny, Fred, and George, who have all been staying there, but frustration sets in when he realizes that everyone but him has been aware of the Order's activities. As dinner is served, Mrs. Weasley tries to prevent the children from hearing any important information, but Sirius defies her, arguing that Harry has the right to know what's happening. They discuss Voldemort's current state, how he is keeping a low profile, and the Order's mission to counter his growing influence. However, the tension between Sirius and Mrs. Weasley hints at deeper conflicts within the group. Harry is still upset about being left in the dark, but he now understands that the Ministry of Magic is actively working to suppress information about Voldemort's return, making it harder for Dumbledore and the Order to act. The chapter ends with Harry realizing just how much danger and secrecy surround him as he prepares for the battles ahead. Key moments in the chapter include the introduction of Number 12, Grimmauld Place, the headquarters of the Order of the Phoenix. Harry's frustration at being kept in the dark by his friends and the adults around him. Sirius Black revealing more about the Order's mission and Voldemort's movements. The growing tension between Sirius and Mrs. Weasley, highlighting differing views on protecting Harry. The Ministry's denial of Voldemort's return and their efforts to suppress the truth. Book versus movie differences. In the movie, the scene at Grimmauld Place is much shorter and doesn't fully explore the depth of Harry's anger or Sirius's defiance. The arguments between Sirius and Mrs. Weasley are downplayed, reducing the emotional weight of the conversation. In the book, Harry's feelings of betrayal by his friends are much more intense, whereas in the movie, this conflict is quickly resolved. The details about the Order's mission and Voldemort's strategy are clearer in the book, while the film keeps it vague. That wraps up Chapter 4, Number 12, Grimmauld Place. This chapter gives us a closer look at the Order of the Phoenix, the growing divide between characters, and the challenges ahead for Harry. What do you think about Sirius defying Mrs. Weasley? Was he right to share information with Harry? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next chapter breakdown. See you next time for Chapter 5 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 5 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Order of the Phoenix. In this chapter, Harry finally learns about the secret organization fighting against Voldemort, gets some long-awaited answers, and reunites with old friends. Let's explore the key moments, character dynamics, and the growing tension within the wizarding world. Harry is finally inside 12, Grimmauld Place, the headquarters of the Order of the Phoenix. As he takes in the old, gloomy house, he reunites with Ron, Hermione, and the Weasley twins. However, he is still angry at them for not sending him any information all summer. Before they can properly talk, Mrs. Weasley interrupts and hurries them to dinner. At the dinner table, Harry meets some of the Order's key members, including Kingsley Shacklebolt, Emmeline Vance, and Sturgis Podmore. Sirius Black, who is still confined to his family's ancestral home, is present as well. Moody warns them all to be careful about security, while Sirius, clearly resentful of his confinement, insists on telling Harry more about the Order's mission. Harry finally learns that the Order of the Phoenix was originally formed by Dumbledore during the First Wizarding War. Now, it has been revived to resist Voldemort, who is gathering followers and seeking something he didn't have before. However, the exact details are kept secret from Harry, frustrating him further. Tension grows between Mrs. Weasley and Sirius, as she insists that Harry is still a child and shouldn't be burdened with too much information. Sirius argues that Harry has already faced Voldemort multiple times and deserves to know the truth. The argument escalates, with Mrs. Weasley tearfully accusing Sirius of treating Harry like his deceased friend, James Potter, instead of his godson. In the end, Sirius reveals that the Order is focused on stopping Voldemort from getting something important. Something that the Dark Lord is desperately seeking. But before any more can be said, Mrs. Weasley ends the discussion, leaving Harry with more questions than answers. As the night continues, Harry sees how difficult it is for Sirius to be trapped in his family's home, a place filled with dark memories. He also notices how Fred and George are secretly testing their joke products on unsuspecting people. It ends with Harry still frustrated but somewhat comforted by the presence of his friends and the knowledge that he is not alone in the fight against Voldemort. Key moments include Harry reunites with Ron, Hermione, and the Weasley twins. Introduction to the Order of the Phoenix and its members. Sirius Black's resentment over being confined to Grimmauld Place. The heated argument between Sirius and Mrs. Weasley about how much Harry should know. Hints that Voldemort is after something crucial, though its identity remains a mystery. Fred and George secretly testing their joke products on others. The gloomy and eerie atmosphere of 12, Grimmauld Place, reflecting the challenges ahead. Book versus movie differences in the movie, much of this chapter's dialogue and exposition is condensed. Harry's frustration about being kept in the dark is present but not explored as deeply. The film skips the detailed argument between Sirius and Mrs. Weasley, which is important in showing the tension between them. The introductions to some of the Order members, such as Sturgis Podmore and Emmeline Vance, are left out. Fred and George's joke-testing subplot is omitted in the movie. That wraps up Chapter 5, The Order of the Phoenix. This chapter lays the foundation for the larger conflict ahead, giving us a glimpse of both the resistance against Voldemort and the tensions within the wizarding world. What do you think about Sirius and Mrs. Weasley's argument? Should Harry have been told more? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 6. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 6 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Noble and Most Ancient House of Black. This chapter takes us deeper into 12, Grimmauld Place, the headquarters of the Order of the Phoenix, as Harry spends more time with his friends and learns about Sirius Black's family home. The chapter opens with Harry, Ron, and Hermione helping with the massive task of cleaning Grimmauld Place, which is filled with dark magical artifacts, cursed objects, and portraits of old pureblood family members. One of the most disturbing elements is the portrait of Sirius' mother, who frequently screams insults at anyone who disturbs her. As they clean, they find a large tapestry in the house that shows Sirius Black's family tree. He explains that he is the last remaining Black in the direct line, but he was disowned by his parents for rejecting their pureblood supremacy beliefs. His mother burned his name off the family tree, showing her complete disdain for him. Meanwhile, Creature, the malicious old house elf, continues to mutter insults about everyone, but most of his hatred is reserved for Sirius, whom he still considers a disgrace to the family. Creature secretly hoards items from the Black family's collection, refusing to throw them away. While the cleaning continues, Mundungus Fletcher suddenly appears at the house. He had left his guard duty over Harry to smuggle stolen goods, which enrages Mrs. Weasley and Sirius. This moment further highlights how disorganized the Order can be and how unreliable some of its members are. Later, at dinner, Mrs. Weasley and Sirius argue over how much Harry should know about the Order's activities. Sirius believes Harry deserves to know the truth, while Mrs. Weasley insists he is too young to handle such responsibility. Dumbledore had instructed them not to share too much, which frustrates Harry. Ultimately, Sirius does reveal some information, confirming that Voldemort is searching for something he didn't have last time, but they don't yet know what it is. The chapter ends with Harry feeling grateful for being included, but still frustrated by the secrecy surrounding Dumbledore's plans. Key moments in the chapter: Harry, Ron, and Hermione clean Grimmauld Place, encountering dark magic objects. The Black family tapestry is revealed, showing Sirius' pureblood heritage and his disownment. Creature's strange behavior hints at his obsession with the Black family's past. Mundungus Fletcher's irresponsibility angers Sirius and Mrs. Weasley. Sirius and Mrs. Weasley argue over how much to tell Harry about the Order's plans. Harry learns that Voldemort is searching for something new, but the Order is unsure what it is. Book versus movie differences in the movie adaptation: this chapter is heavily condensed. Many details about the cleaning of Grimmauld Place, Creature's behavior, and Sirius' family tree are missing. While Grimmauld Place is shown, the Black family tapestry scene is not as detailed as in the book. Also, Mundungus Fletcher does not appear in the movies at all, even though he plays a minor role in the book series. The chapter ends with Harry feeling grateful for being included, but still frustrated by the secrecy surrounding Dumbledore's plans. That wraps up Chapter 6, The Noble and Most Ancient House of Black. What do you think about Sirius Black's family and his troubled past? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the wizarding world, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with fellow Potterheads, and subscribe to Boundless Books for more magical chapter summaries. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Join us next time for Chapter 7, where the journey continues at the Ministry of Magic. Stay enchanted, and see you in the next one. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 7 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Ministry of Magic. This chapter takes us through Harry's nerve-wracking journey to the Ministry for his disciplinary hearing. For the first time, we get an extensive look inside the Ministry, from the Grand Atrium to the Department of Magical Law Enforcement. As Harry prepares to defend himself, the tension rises. Will he be expelled from Hogwarts? Harry, accompanied by Arthur Weasley, leaves Grimmauld Place early in the morning and takes the London Underground to the Ministry of Magic. This marks Harry's first encounter with the wizarding government's headquarters, a place of both awe and intimidation. Inside, he observes the Grand Fountain of Magical Brethren and experiences the bureaucratic nature of the wizarding world firsthand. However, things take a stressful turn when he discovers that his hearing has been moved up to an earlier time and to a different courtroom, forcing him to rush there in a panic. Key moments in the chapter include traveling to the Ministry. Harry and Arthur Weasley take the Muggle underground to the Ministry, showing Arthur's fascination with Muggle technology. Entering the Ministry of Magic, the detailed description of the atrium, the Golden Fountain of Magical Brethren, and the daily workings of the wizarding government. Harry's registration. Harry goes through the bureaucratic process at the security desk, handing over his wand for examination. A glimpse of Percy. Percy Weasley, now distanced from his family, coldly directs Arthur and Harry to the hearing. The hearing time change. Harry is shocked to learn that his hearing has been moved up unexpectedly, causing a frantic rush to find the right courtroom. Differences between the book and the movie. The Ministry's atrium and fountain are vividly described in the book, but the film minimizes this detail. The book emphasizes the grandeur and political structure of the wizarding world. The trip to the Ministry on the Muggle Underground is omitted in the movie, removing a fun moment showcasing Arthur Weasley's fascination with Muggle transport. Percy's involvement in the book is crucial, as it shows his growing estrangement from his family. In the movie, this part is left out. Harry's panic over the rescheduled hearing is much more dramatic in the book, highlighting the Ministry's attempts to make things harder for him. That wraps up Chapter 7. The Ministry of Magic. This chapter introduces us to the bureaucratic heart of the wizarding world while building tension for Harry's hearing. What are your thoughts on the Ministry's portrayal? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for Chapter 8, where Harry finally faces the Wizengamot. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 8 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Hearing. This crucial chapter follows Harry as he faces the Wizengamot, the highest wizarding court, for using magic in the presence of Muggles. With Dumbledore stepping in as his defender, we witness the Ministry's growing corruption, Fudge's desperation, and an important moment in Harry's battle against authority. Let's explore this pivotal chapter. Harry arrives at the Ministry of Magic with Arthur Weasley, navigating its grand but bureaucratic structure. They rush to his hearing, which has been unexpectedly rescheduled to an earlier time, seemingly to prevent Dumbledore from attending. Upon entering the courtroom, Harry finds himself in the same intimidating setting where Death Eaters were once tried, surrounded by the full Wizengamot, led by an antagonistic Cornelius Fudge. As the trial begins, Fudge accuses Harry of violating the decree for the reasonable restriction of underage sorcery. Mrs. Bones and other members listen as he defends himself, explaining that he conjured a Patronus to repel Dementors. When questioned about their presence, Harry insists they were real and attacking him and his cousin, Dudley. However, Fudge remains dismissive, suggesting it was a fabrication. To Harry's relief, Dumbledore appears, acting as his defense. Calm and composed, Dumbledore systematically dismantles the prosecution's arguments, emphasizing that Harry acted in self-defense. He introduces Mrs. Fig as a witness, proving the Dementors were indeed real. Despite the Ministry's clear bias against Harry, Madame Bones and some others seem convinced by the truth. Ultimately, after deliberation, the Wizengamot finds Harry not guilty. Despite the victory, Harry is unsettled. Dumbledore's distant demeanor throughout the trial leaves him confused, foreshadowing the strain in their relationship this year. Key moments in the chapter include arrival at the Ministry. Harry and Mr. Weasley travel through the bustling Ministry of Magic, offering readers their first detailed look at the government's inner workings. Unexpected hearing time change, a clear sign of the Ministry's efforts to sabotage Harry's defense. The Wizengamot's hostility toward Fudge, flanked by Dolores Umbridge, is determined to convict Harry, highlighting their growing paranoia about Dumbledore. Mrs. Fig's testimony, the unexpected yet crucial moment where Arabella Fig confirms the Dementor's presence. Dumbledore's defense, a masterclass in strategy as Dumbledore calmly rebuffs every accusation, forcing the Wizengamot to acknowledge the truth. Harry's acquittal, a major relief, but the political tension remains thick, hinting at greater struggles ahead. Book versus movie differences. In the book, the trial is far more detailed and held in the same courtroom where the Death Eater trials were conducted, whereas the movie simplifies the setting. Mrs. Fig's testimony is skipped in the movie. Dumbledore's role is downplayed in the film, whereas in the book, he meticulously counters Fudge's accusations. The Wizengamot is more divided in the book, with some members, like Madame Bones, showing impartiality. That wraps up Chapter 8, The Hearing. This trial sets the stage for the Ministry's ongoing hostility toward Harry and Dumbledore, leading to even greater conflicts. What did you think of this chapter? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 9, where we return to Grimmauld Place and tensions rise within the Order of the Phoenix. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 9 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Woes of Mrs. Weasley. This chapter brings us deeper into the tensions within the wizarding world, as Harry settles into Grimmauld Place and gets a glimpse into the challenges faced by the Order of the Phoenix. We witness Ron and Hermione becoming prefects, Fred and George scheming new inventions, and Mrs. Weasley's deep worries for her family and the dangers ahead. Let's explore this emotionally intense and revealing chapter. After the tense meeting of the Order of the Phoenix, life at 12, Grimmauld Place continues, but emotions run high. The chapter opens with Sirius feeling bitter about his confinement. While Harry experiences mixed emotions, he feels somewhat pleased to be included in Order matters but remains uneasy about his future at Hogwarts. Soon, a shocking surprise awaits. Ron and Hermione have been chosen as Gryffindor prefects. Everyone in the house celebrates, except for Harry, who struggles with feelings of disappointment and jealousy. He had hoped that, despite his troubles, he might be chosen as prefect. He wonders if Professor Dumbledore no longer trusts him after the events at the Ministry. However, he doesn't voice his feelings and tries to hide his resentment. The celebrations include a cake and a party thrown by Mrs. Weasley, who is particularly proud of Ron's achievement. But the moment is undercut by Fred and George's reaction. The twins mock Ron's new responsibility, arguing that it doesn't suit him. They also take this opportunity to test one of their new joke products, Tung Toffees and Canary Creams. Their growing defiance signals their increasing ambition to start their joke shop, despite their mother's concerns. Meanwhile, Sirius's frustrations become evident. He had also been a troublemaker in his Hogwarts days, just like Fred and George, and is clearly envious of Harry's time at school, reminding him that Harry still has freedom, something Sirius lacks while being trapped at Grimmauld Place. Later in the evening, Harry finds Mrs. Weasley alone in the drawing room, attempting to battle a boggart. When Harry steps in to help, the boggart reveals its terrifying form. It cycles through the dead bodies of each of her loved ones. She collapses in tears, overwhelmed by the fear of losing her family and everyone in the Order. Lupin arrives just in time to banish the boggart and comforts her, reassuring her that they are doing everything they can to fight against Voldemort. This moment lays bare Mrs. Weasley's deep anxieties. She fears for all of them, for her children, for Harry, and for the Order. While others prepare for battle, she carries the emotional weight of worrying about the worst possible outcomes. The chapter ends on a somber note, reminding us of the emotional toll the war against Voldemort is taking on everyone. Key moments in the chapter include Ron and Hermione are chosen as Gryffindor prefects, leaving Harry feeling disappointed and confused about why he wasn't selected. Fred and George take their joke shop experiments further, ignoring Mrs. Weasley's concerns. Sirius expresses frustration over being confined to Grimmauld Place, while Harry starts to notice their similarities. Mrs. Weasley's boggart reveals her worst fear, her family and loved ones dead, highlighting the emotional weight she carries. Lupin steps in to comfort her, reinforcing the somber reality of the war they are all preparing for. Book versus movie differences. This chapter is not included in the movie, meaning that the emotional depth of Mrs. Weasley's fears and Harry's reaction to Ron's prefect appointment are missing. The film skips over Harry's jealousy and his self-doubt about why he wasn't chosen as a prefect. Additionally, Fred and George's increasing defiance and their joke shop experiments are much more pronounced in the book than in the film. That wraps up Chapter 9, The Woes of Mrs. Weasley. This chapter provides a deeply emotional moment, showing the personal sacrifices and fears of those fighting against Voldemort. What did you think about Mrs. Weasley's boggart scene? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 10, where Harry returns to Hogwarts and faces the wrath of Dolores Umbridge. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 10 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Luna Lovegood. This chapter introduces a quirky new character, Luna Lovegood, and explores the students' journey back to Hogwarts for their 5th year. With tensions running high due to Harry's recent experiences, the chapter sets the tone for a challenging year ahead. The chapter begins at the Burrow, where the Weasleys, Harry, and Hermione prepare to leave for King's Cross Station. Mrs. Weasley is particularly frazzled, and Fred and George's antics don't help. As they gather their belongings, Harry notices the Daily Prophet's continuing smear campaign against him, making it clear that the Ministry is still trying to discredit him. At the station, they meet up with other members of the Order, including Tonks and Mad-Eye Moody, who are there for security. Mr. Weasley warns Harry to be careful at Hogwarts. After an emotional goodbye, they board the Hogwarts Express. On the train, Ron and Hermione head off for their prefect duties, leaving Harry to find a compartment. He ends up sitting with Ginny, Neville Longbottom, and an odd Ravenclaw girl named Luna Lovegood. Luna is an eccentric student with a dreamy voice, large silvery eyes, and a habit of reading The Quibbler, a magazine filled with wild conspiracy theories. Harry finds her odd but harmless. During the journey, they discuss the Daily Prophet's attacks on Harry, and Luna insists that the Quibbler tells the real truth. Meanwhile, Ginny tries to keep the conversation flowing, but Luna's blunt honesty makes things awkward at times. Malfoy and his cronies briefly appear, mocking Harry about the Ministry's stance against him. However, Harry is growing tired of reacting to their insults. As the train arrives at Hogwarts, Harry and his friends prepare to leave. They step off the train and prepare to take the traditional carriages to the castle. However, to Harry's shock, the carriages are being pulled by strange, skeletal horse-like creatures with bat wings. Neville and Luna can also see them, but Ron and Hermione cannot. Luna casually informs Harry that these creatures are called Thestrals, but doesn't elaborate further. This unsettling discovery leaves Harry confused as he follows the group into the castle, signaling that this year at Hogwarts will be full of mysteries and revelations. Key moments include the Weasleys, Harry, and Hermione preparing to leave for Hogwarts, with Mrs. Weasley being particularly anxious. The group's arrival at King's Cross and their departure on the Hogwarts Express. Harry sitting with Ginny, Neville, and Luna Lovegood, leading to his first interaction with the eccentric Ravenclaw. Luna reading the Quibbler and claiming that it provides the truth, contrasting with the Daily Prophet's lies. Draco Malfoy taunting Harry about the Ministry's stance against him. Harry's shocking discovery of the Thestrals, which only he, Luna, and Neville can see. Luna revealing the name of these creatures in her typically dreamy and cryptic way. Book versus movie differences. In the movie, Luna Lovegood is introduced much later when she helps Harry discover the Thestrals in the Forbidden Forest. In the book, she is introduced on the train. Malfoy's taunting is far more elaborate in the book, whereas in the movie, his interactions are brief. The book emphasizes Harry's discomfort over his growing isolation, whereas the film focuses more on Luna's introduction. This unsettling discovery leaves Harry confused as he follows the group into the castle, signaling that this year at Hogwarts will be full of mysteries and revelations. What do you think of Luna Lovegood? Do you believe the Quibbler is telling the truth, or is it just nonsense? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we unravel the next chapter of Harry Potter and the Order of Phoenix. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 11 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Sorting Hat's New Song. As Harry and his friends return to Hogwarts, tensions are running high. The Sorting Hat delivers an unexpected warning in its song, urging unity in dark times. Harry's growing alienation at school intensifies, and we get our first real taste of Dolores Umbridge's presence as she makes an ominous speech at the feast. Let's break down the key moments and differences from the movie. Harry, Ron, and Hermione arrive at Hogwarts, still shaken from the Dementor attack, the Ministry's smear campaign, and their encounter with Draco Malfoy on the train. As they step into the Great Hall, the sorting ceremony begins. However, this year, the Sorting Hat delivers an alarming new song. Instead of merely introducing the houses, it warns the students that Hogwarts must remain united in the face of growing dangers, a stark departure from its usual cheerful welcome. After the sorting, Dumbledore addresses the students, but before he can say much, Dolores Umbridge, the new defense against the dark arts professor, interrupts him with a speech from the Ministry. She speaks in a sickly sweet but condescending manner, outlining how the Ministry intends to bring about progress for progress's sake, suggesting increased interference at Hogwarts. Hermione, always perceptive, immediately recognizes the speech's hidden message: change is coming, and not for the better. The students are unsettled by her words, and Harry, still reeling from his summer experiences, senses that Umbridge's presence marks a shift in how Hogwarts will be run. As the chapter ends, the feast concludes, and the students prepare for what promises to be a difficult year. Key moments in the chapter include the Sorting Hat's warning in its song, emphasizing unity over division, a crucial foreshadowing of the upcoming struggles. Dolores Umbridge's first Hogwarts speech, which, though cloaked in polite language, signals ministry interference. Hermione immediately recognizing the subtext of Umbridge's words, warning Harry and Ron that things are about to change drastically. Harry's increasing alienation, as many students still view him as an attention seeker rather than a victim of the ministry's lies. Book versus movie differences. The Sorting Hat song and warning were completely left out of the movie, losing an important moment of foreshadowing. Umbridge's speech was shorter and less emphasized in the movie. Whereas in the book, it subtly reveals the ministry's growing grip on Hogwarts. The train ride and Malfoy's taunts were more fleshed out in the book, reinforcing the hostility Harry faces from his peers. What do you think of the Sorting Hat's warning? Do you believe Hogwarts students should have taken it more seriously? And what are your thoughts on Umbridge's speech, just empty words, or a sign of something much worse? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we uncover the next chapter of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 12 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Professor Umbridge. This chapter takes us through the first defense against the dark arts lesson of the year under the new professor, Dolores Umbridge. Let's explore the growing tension at Hogwarts, the ministry's influence, and the rebellion beginning to brew among the students. The chapter begins with students returning to the rhythm of Hogwarts life, classes, schedules, and the usual gossip. Ron, now a prefect, is struggling to assert himself, and Harry is finding himself increasingly isolated due to public opinion and skepticism surrounding his claims about Voldemort's return. The main event of the chapter is the first defense against the dark arts class with Professor Umbridge. At first, students are hopeful, given the ministry's appointment and the novelty of a new teacher. However, excitement quickly gives way to disbelief when Professor Umbridge outlines her lesson plan: no practical magic, only theoretical learning based on ministry-approved textbooks. She insists that the students are safe and that practical defense against the dark arts training is unnecessary. Hermione, ever the academic and logical one, raises her hand to question this approach. Harry, driven by frustration, ends up challenging Umbridge more directly, especially when she denies the return of Lord Voldemort, something Harry knows firsthand to be true. The argument escalates, and Harry openly calls her a liar. As a result, Umbridge gives him detention and uses her syrupy, condescending voice to assert her control. The atmosphere in the classroom is stifling and ominous. The chapter closes with Harry brooding about the detention and the realization that the ministry is actively working to undermine Dumbledore and suppress the truth about Voldemort's return. Key moments in the chapter include introduction to Dolores Umbridge's classroom environment and her oppressive teaching methods. Her refusal to allow practical defensive spells, contradicting the urgent need for preparedness. Umbridge's insistence on ministry interference and denial of Voldemort's return. Harry's confrontation with Umbridge and his bold stand against misinformation. Harry receiving detention as punishment for speaking the truth. Hints of a larger conflict brewing between the students and the ministry's influence at Hogwarts. Book versus movie differences. In the book, Umbridge's lesson is far more detailed and confrontational, showcasing the full tension of her control tactics and Harry's outburst. The movie simplifies this exchange and combines several moments, losing some of the nuance in Harry's rebellion and Umbridge's authoritarian behavior. Additionally, Hermione and other students' reactions are more vocal in the book, emphasizing the collective unease. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 13 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Detention with Dolores. This chapter dives deeper into the oppressive atmosphere at Hogwarts as Harry experiences the true cruelty of Dolores Umbridge. With tension rising among students and Harry's detentions taking a dark turn, the chapter reveals the sinister lengths the Ministry will go to in order to suppress dissent. The chapter begins with Harry still reeling from his confrontation with Umbridge during class. The rest of the school is buzzing with rumors about his punishment and the general absurdity of Umbridge's new educational decrees. Harry tries to find solace in Quidditch and his friends. But things grow increasingly strained as Ron struggles with the pressure of being on the Gryffindor team and Hermione grows more worried about the future. Soon, Harry's detention with Umbridge begins. He arrives at her office to find it eerily pink and decorated with meowing kitten plates. But the atmosphere quickly turns sinister as she gives him a special black quill to use for writing lines, a quill that carves the words into his hand, using his own blood as ink. Harry is horrified but refuses to show weakness. Night after night, he endures the pain in silence, hiding his injuries even from Ron and Hermione. As the detentions continue, Harry's anger and frustration mount. He even considers writing to Sirius but hesitates, knowing it might endanger his godfather. Meanwhile, Ron and Hermione notice that something is wrong, and Hermione begins urging Harry to report Umbridge to someone. Harry, however, remains quiet, both out of pride and the fear that no one will help. One evening, after a particularly painful session, Harry returns to the Gryffindor common room where Hermione finally sees the cut on his hand. She is shocked and outraged, pleading with Harry to tell Professor McGonagall. But Harry is adamant. He believes no one at Hogwarts will dare stand up to Umbridge, not even the professors. The chapter ends with Harry feeling increasingly isolated. Though his friends are worried, he doesn't share the full burden with them. The seed of rebellion is planted as Harry realizes just how dangerous Umbridge truly is, not just to him, but to the whole school. Key moments in the chapter include Harry's disturbing detention with Dolores Umbridge, using a quill that etches into his skin. The description of Umbridge's grotesquely cheerful office, filled with kittens and lace. Harry choosing to endure the pain in silence, showing his resilience and stubbornness. Hermione discovering the cuts on Harry's hand and confronting him. The deepening sense of oppression at Hogwarts and the ineffectiveness of the school's leadership. Harry contemplating writing to Sirius but hesitating due to the danger involved. The widening gap between student struggles and adult intervention, book versus movie differences. In the movie adaptation, Harry's detentions with Umbridge are shown briefly but lack the emotional weight and prolonged suffering depicted in the book. The film condenses the psychological and physical toll the detentions take on Harry. Also, Hermione's discovery and outrage over the self-inflicted punishment are not explored in the same emotional depth. The book emphasizes Harry's internal struggle, his sense of isolation, and the ominous warning of the Ministry's overreach, themes that are more subtly conveyed in the movie. That wraps up Chapter 13, Detention with Dolores. This chapter marks a turning point in how dark Hogwarts has become under Umbridge's rule. Let us know your thoughts on this cruel punishment in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 14. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 14 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Percy and Padfoot. This chapter explores the ongoing tension between Harry and the wizarding world, Percy Weasley's shocking betrayal, and a secret conversation with Sirius Black that adds both comfort and mystery to Harry's experience at Hogwarts. The chapter opens with Harry struggling emotionally after his explosive detentions with Umbridge. He's physically hurting and psychologically burdened by his isolation. His friends are supportive, but there's a growing divide between Harry and the rest of the school, especially after the Daily Prophet's continued smear campaign against him. As the Gryffindors attend classes, Harry receives a letter from Sirius via a disguised owl. It sets up a secret communication session through the Gryffindor fireplace, bringing an air of suspense to the chapter. Meanwhile, Hermione is pushing Harry to form a defense against the dark arts group because Umbridge's lessons are useless. Ron supports the idea, and they begin thinking about who to recruit. Then comes a turning point. Ron receives a letter from Percy, warning him to stay away from Harry and Dumbledore. Percy, who has always followed authority rigidly, has chosen loyalty to the Ministry over family. He belittles Dumbledore, questions Harry's sanity, and shows a cold-hearted allegiance to Cornelius Fudge. This betrayal hits Ron hard and further angers Harry. Later, Harry, Hermione, and Ron gather in the common room to talk with Sirius via the fireplace. Sirius is thrilled to speak with them but becomes concerned about Harry's detentions and Umbridge's growing power. He also warns them about the new High Inquisitor position and encourages Harry to continue practicing defense on his own. Kreacher briefly appears in the background, hinting at the murky loyalties at 12, Grimmauld Place. Their chat is cut short when someone enters the common room, and Sirius disappears, ending the conversation abruptly. Key moments in the chapter include Harry's continued emotional toll from Umbridge's detentions, with the scars still fresh on his hand. Percy's betrayal, his letter distancing himself from Ron, Dumbledore, and Harry, a major turning point in the Weasley family dynamic. Sirius's risky communication, the use of the Gryffindor common room fireplace for a fire call to talk about Umbridge, Dumbledore, and staying strong. Hermione's idea to start a defense group, highlighting her proactive mindset and resistance to ministry control. Foreshadowing Kreacher's odd behavior. Subtly setting up important plot developments for later in the book. Book versus movie differences. This chapter does not appear in the film, as the movies skip over many of the nuanced interactions and political subplots involving Percy and the Ministry. The emotional weight of Percy's betrayal and the clandestine conversation with Sirius in the Gryffindor common room fireplace are omitted, as is the tension surrounding the formation of a defense group at this stage. The film compresses these developments into briefer scenes and shifts focus to major action moments instead. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 15 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Hogwarts High Inquisitor. This chapter unveils one of the Ministry's most chilling efforts to control Hogwarts, as Dolores Umbridge is granted new power as the Hogwarts High Inquisitor. What follows is a methodical clampdown on freedom, with a chilling series of inspections and interference. Let's uncover the creeping authoritarianism that takes hold at Hogwarts. The chapter opens with news from the Daily Prophet announcing that Dolores Umbridge has been appointed the Hogwarts High Inquisitor, a new position created by the Ministry of Magic. The article praises the Ministry's move as a way to restore discipline and proper teaching methods at Hogwarts, though readers can clearly see it as a power grab. Students and staff alike are alarmed. Harry, Ron, and Hermione are outraged at how blatantly the Ministry is interfering in the school's operations. They're particularly worried about the claim that Umbridge will be evaluating teachers. Hermione understands at once that this is an excuse for Umbridge to inspect and control all aspects of Hogwarts. Umbridge quickly starts her inspections, beginning with Professor Trelawney's divination class, where she treats the professor with thinly veiled disdain. Trelawney is clearly rattled, fumbling through her lesson while Umbridge writes notes. Umbridge's passive-aggressive behavior sends a clear message she's there to judge and intimidate. Later, she visits Professor McGonagall's Transfiguration class, and the contrast is stark. McGonagall meets her coldly but firmly. When Umbridge questions her methods, McGonagall responds with withering professionalism. She doesn't bow or cater to Umbridge, making it obvious she disapproves of the Ministry's intrusion. Meanwhile, tensions continue to rise around Harry's detentions, which are still ongoing. His hand is scarred from the Bloodquill punishment, and Hermione is furious. She warns that they must find a way to resist, planting the seed for what will soon become Dumbledore's army. The chapter takes a more light-hearted turn when Fred and George continue testing their magical joke products on younger students. Their rebellious streak is played for laughs but also adds to the feeling that resistance is beginning to form. As the Ministry's control tightens, Hermione suggests a bold idea: students need to learn practical defense against the dark arts somehow, and Harry should teach them. Harry is resistant at first, believing himself unworthy. But Hermione and Ron press the point. And though he doesn't agree right away, the idea clearly begins to grow in his mind. Key moments in the chapter include, the Daily Prophet's article reveals the new Ministry decree appointing Umbridge as Hogwarts High Inquisitor. Trelawney's inspection, Umbridge belittles and undermines her, foreshadowing future conflict. McGonagall's inspection, a powerful moment of quiet defiance. McGonagall resists Umbridge's authority with poise. Harry's continued detentions highlights Umbridge's cruelty and the trauma Harry is enduring.
Hermione's idea of student defense lessons, the first hint of what will become Dumbledore's army.
Fred and George's experiments, comic relief and symbolic of student rebellion. Book versus movie differences. In the movie adaptation of Order of the Phoenix, the role of the High Inquisitor is acknowledged, but the detailed inspections of individual teachers, especially the scenes with Trelawney and McGonagall, are either shortened or omitted. The book does a much better job showing the oppressive atmosphere creeping over Hogwarts. Umbridge's inspections in the book offer deeper insight into her psychological warfare and how different staff members handle her presence. Also, the idea for Harry to teach defense is introduced earlier in the book than in the movie, allowing for more build-up and a stronger sense of student resistance.
That wraps up Chapter 15, The Hogwarts High Inquisitor. This chapter marks a turning point where the Ministry's interference becomes tangible.
Dolores Umbridge's reign begins to spread its shadow across Hogwarts, but in that darkness, seeds of rebellion are starting to take root.
Let us know your favorite moment of subtle resistance. Was it McGonagall's quiet defiance or Hermione's strategic thinking?
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 16, where the students take the first step in organizing their secret rebellion.
Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 16 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled In the Hog's Head. This chapter sets a critical foundation for what becomes Dumbledore's army, as Harry, Hermione, and Ron take the first bold steps to rally resistance against the oppressive rule of Dolores Umbridge and the Ministry of Magic at Hogwarts. The chapter opens as news of Harry's fight with Draco Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle in the previous chapter circulates through the school. Although Harry is punished with another detention from Umbridge, the trio's plans to resist her regime remain undeterred. Hermione reveals that she's been working on an idea to organize a group of students who want to learn practical defense against the dark arts from Harry himself. Since Umbridge's theoretical-only approach is clearly useless, Harry is initially reluctant, unsure whether he's truly qualified to teach others. He's haunted by the events at the Ministry last year and doesn't see himself as a role model. But Hermione insists that the students want to learn from someone with real experience, someone who has faced Voldemort and survived multiple times. To put this plan into action discreetly, Hermione arranges a meeting at the Hog's Head Inn, a shabby and rather disreputable pub in Hogsmeade. The location is chosen specifically because it's less frequented than the Three Broomsticks and thus provides more privacy. When the trio arrives at the Hog's Head, they are met by a surprising number of interested students, more than 20 in total. Some familiar faces among them include Neville Longbottom, Luna Lovegood, the Weasley twins, Cho Chang, to Harry's nervous excitement, and many others from multiple houses. It's a diverse group united by a common concern: Hogwarts isn't preparing them to defend themselves. Harry is initially uncomfortable as the group questions him about his past experiences, but he gradually opens up, clarifying that while he doesn't consider himself an expert, he has faced real danger, including duels with Death Eaters, escaping Voldemort multiple times, and enduring the Triwizard Tournament. During the meeting, it becomes clear that many students have lost faith in the Ministry's narrative and believe Harry is telling the truth about Voldemort's return. The conversation becomes more determined as students express frustration over Umbridge's useless classes and the Ministry's interference. Despite a few tense moments, especially around Zacharias Smith's skeptical questions, the general consensus is strong: they want Harry to teach them. Hermione takes down the names of everyone present on a piece of parchment, which later becomes a key plot device. The meeting is adjourned with the understanding that this is only the beginning of their secret defense group. The seed for Dumbledore's army is officially planted. As the trio leaves the Hog's Head, they pass by a figure wrapped in bandages and a heavily hooded barmaid, both seemingly out of place. Hermione notes that perhaps they should have been more careful about who might have been eavesdropping. The chapter closes with the students feeling invigorated and united, and Harry, despite his earlier hesitation, begins to embrace his new role as a leader and teacher, a significant moment in his development and in the resistance movement within Hogwarts. Key moments in the chapter include Hermione proposes forming a secret student group to learn practical defense against the dark arts from Harry. Harry expresses self-doubt but ultimately agrees to consider it after Hermione's and Ron's encouragement. The trio chooses the Hog's Head Inn for a secret meeting due to its privacy and low popularity. Over 20 students attend, showing the widespread concern about Umbridge's teaching. Cho Chang's presence causes Harry to feel both nervous and hopeful. Zacharias Smith questions Harry's credibility, leading to tension, but the group mostly sides with Harry. Hermione collects everyone's names on a parchment, foreshadowing magical tracking. Concerns arise about strangers potentially overhearing their plans at the Hog's Head. The group unofficially agrees to meet again and begin their training under Harry's leadership. Book versus movie differences. This entire scene at the Hog's Head Inn is entirely omitted in the film adaptation. In the movie, the initial meeting of Dumbledore's army happens at the Room of Requirement, skipping over the planning and build-up at the Hog's Head. The movie also downplays Harry's self-doubt and Hermione's initiative. The film simply fast-tracks to Harry accepting the role of teacher without showing the democratic student movement and the atmosphere of secrecy and risk involved in organizing this resistance. Would you have joined Dumbledore's army if you were at Hogwarts? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to follow along as we journey through every magical chapter. Next up, Chapter 17, Educational Decree Number 24. Don't miss it. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 17 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Educational Decree Number 24. This chapter marks the Ministry of Magic's increasingly oppressive control over Hogwarts, setting the stage for student rebellion. Let's explore how a single decree sparks a movement and paves the way for what becomes Dumbledore's army. The chapter opens in the aftermath of the intense Quidditch tryouts. Harry is still reeling from his bizarre dream about the long corridor and locked door inside the Ministry. He wakes up feeling unsettled but distracted by breakfast and the growing whispers about his argument with Professor Umbridge during her class. However, the real tension begins when a new notice appears on the Hogwarts notice boards. Educational Decree Number 24, issued by the Ministry, officially bans all student groups, organizations, and clubs not approved by the High Inquisitor, Dolores Umbridge herself. This includes Quidditch teams and unofficial gatherings. It's a direct reaction to the students meeting at the Hog's Head to discuss forming a secret defense against the Dark Arts group. Students are furious, especially Angelina Johnson, who is distraught over Gryffindor's Quidditch practices being suspended pending Umbridge's personal approval. Hermione correctly guesses that someone must have informed Umbridge about their meeting. Suspicion briefly falls on Zacharias Smith, but Hermione reasons that Mundungus Fletcher, seen at the Hog's Head, likely informed the Order, who then alerted Dumbledore. Still, it seems Umbridge got wind of it independently, likely through her network of Slytherin informants. Meanwhile, Umbridge continues her iron grip on the school, now with the power to approve or disband any group. She begins enforcing her authority with increased inspections and interruptions. Fred and George are particularly defiant, whispering about rebellion and even joking about testing joke products on first years. Back in the Gryffindor common room, Hermione proposes a plan. She believes it's time to go ahead with the secret defense group, but they must find a secure meeting place. She also warns Harry to keep calm and avoid provoking Umbridge any further, especially considering his temper. Ron supports her, despite his own frustrations. Harry's recurring dreams of the corridor in the Ministry persist, making him more anxious. The dreams are eerily vivid and repetitive. Though he doesn't fully understand them, the door at the end of the corridor feels increasingly important. Hermione is concerned and urges Harry to speak with Dumbledore, but Harry is still hurt and confused by Dumbledore's cold distance. By the end of the chapter, students are more aware than ever of the restrictions closing in around them. Yet, instead of being discouraged, the decree fuels the very rebellion it tries to suppress. The idea of a secret student-led defense group is now more urgent and more dangerous than ever. Key moments in the chapter include, the Ministry issues Educational Decree Number 24, banning all student groups without Umbridge's approval. Gryffindor Quidditch team practices are suspended pending Umbridge's review.
Tension increases as students realize how deeply Umbridge is infiltrating Hogwarts life. Hermione suspects that someone told Umbridge about the meeting at the Hog's Head. Harry continues having disturbing dreams about the corridor and locked door. Fred and George begin quietly planning rebellion and mischief. Hermione urges Harry to keep calm and start planning for the defense group with more secrecy. Book versus movie differences. This chapter's content is mostly omitted in the film adaptation. The movie condenses the early build-up to Dumbledore's army and does not show the full extent of Educational Decree No. 24. It also downplays the tension and anger felt by students as their rights are stripped away, as well as Fred and George's growing rebellion. Harry's dreams about the Department of Mysteries are also simplified in the movie, lacking the eerie depth and repetition shown in the book. That wraps up Chapter 17, Educational Decree No. 24. The Ministry's interference only fuels the students' resolve to fight back. What would you do if your school banned clubs like Hogwarts did? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Boundless Books, and join us next time for Chapter 18, Dumbledore's Army.
Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 18 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Dumbledore's Army. This chapter takes us through the exciting formation of a secret student defense group, the tensions with authority at Hogwarts, and the courage of students stepping up to take control of their magical education. Let's explore the origins of the group that would go on to define a student rebellion within the walls of Hogwarts. After the unsettling events of the Hogsmeade trip, Harry, Hermione, and Ron reflect on their conversation at the Hog's Head, where many students expressed interest in learning proper defense against the dark arts. Motivated by Umbridge's refusal to teach practical skills and emboldened by the turnout, Hermione moves quickly to establish the next steps. The trio debates where they might hold their meetings in secret, as the risk of discovery is high with Umbridge monitoring every corner of the school. Meanwhile, school life continues under the increasingly oppressive regime of Dolores Umbridge, who has now been granted the title of Hogwarts High Inquisitor. Her power continues to grow, with more decrees and inspections. Tensions are building in the school corridors, and Harry feels more isolated, especially with many students still unsure whether to believe him about Voldemort's return. Yet despite the social pressure, some students, including Luna Lovegood, the Patel twins, Dean Thomas, and Neville Longbottom, stand by Harry and join the secret cause. Hermione cleverly finds a solution to their meeting space problem. She discovers the Room of Requirement, a magical room that appears only when someone is in need. With its enchantments and ability to adapt to their training needs, it becomes the perfect hideout for the group's sessions. The room materializes into a fully equipped dueling and practice space, complete with cushions for stunning spells and even books on defensive theory. The students name their group Dumbledore's Army, a bold act of defiance, as it directly challenges the Ministry's authority. The name was suggested as a joke by Ginny Weasley but is agreed upon despite the Ministry's paranoia about Dumbledore forming an armed resistance. Harry, now stepping into a leadership role, begins teaching practical defense against the dark arts. The students, eager and motivated, work on spells like the Disarming Charm, Expelliarmus, and Harry is impressed by their dedication. Neville, in particular, shows unexpected progress, earning praise from Harry. The sessions not only build magical skill but also confidence and camaraderie among the group. For the first time in a while, Harry feels hopeful. He realizes that teaching gives him purpose and agency, something he's been lacking under Umbridge's rule. The chapter ends on a note of triumph and rebellion. Despite the danger, the students are finally taking back their education, and Dumbledore's army is officially born. Key moments in the chapter include Hermione's strategy for finding a secret meeting place, introduction and magical nature of the Room of Requirement, formation and naming of Dumbledore's army, Harry's first teaching session with the group, Neville's surprising growth in magical ability, the developing camaraderie and resolve among the DA members, the group's defiance as a reaction to Umbridge's oppressive control.
Book versus movie differences. In the book, the formation of Dumbledore's army is given much more attention, with deeper explanations about how the Room of Requirement works and why students are motivated to join. Characters like Dean, the Patil twins, and Zacharias Smith have more defined roles. Neville's improvement and Harry's inner reflections on teaching are also expanded. In contrast, the film condenses much of this build-up and omits the full impact of Hermione's initiative and the subtle tensions at Hogwarts during this time.
What would your signature spell be if you joined Dumbledore's army? Let us know in the comments, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts with us below. Don't miss our breakdown of Chapter 19. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 19 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Lion and the Serpent. This action-packed chapter follows Gryffindor's long-awaited Quidditch match against Slytherin, a brutal showdown full of tension, tricks, and unexpected consequences that ripple throughout the school. Let's explore the intense rivalry, a surprising outburst, and how this chapter marks a turning point in several character arcs. As the chapter opens, the school buzzes with anticipation for the Gryffindor vs. Slytherin Quidditch match. The rivalry has never been more fierce, and the Slytherins are pulling no punches, both on and off the field. Angelina Johnson is determined to lead the team to victory despite Umbridge's constant interference and the team's lack of proper practice due to restrictions. Ron, as the new keeper, is under immense pressure, and the Slytherin sees every chance to mock and unsettle him, especially Draco Malfoy, who targets Ron with relentless taunts. On match day, the game is fiercely contested. Gryffindor plays well, with Ginny proving to be a solid seeker replacement for Harry, who is still banned from playing. Ron, however, struggles. The Slytherins chant cruel rhymes, especially one called "Weasley is our king," mocking Ron's performance. He fails to save several goals, further shaking his confidence. But the real drama unfolds after the match. Gryffindor wins thanks to Ginny catching the snitch, but tempers explode when Draco takes his taunting too far. He insults Ron's family and even Harry's late mother, Lily Potter. Enraged beyond control, Harry and George Weasley attack Draco physically. Professor McGonagall arrives just as the fight escalates, but the damage is done. Umbridge takes over the disciplinary measures and bans Harry and George from ever playing Quidditch again. She also issues a lifetime Quidditch ban to Fred, even though he wasn't involved in the fight, using the incident as an excuse to further her control over the Gryffindor team. This is a crushing blow to the trio and morale in Gryffindor House. Fred and George's Quidditch careers at Hogwarts are over, and Harry is left fuming at Umbridge's blatant abuse of power. Key moments in the chapter include the heated Gryffindor vs. Slytherin Quidditch match, full of tension and dirty tactics. Ginny's excellent performance as Seeker, winning the game for Gryffindor by catching the snitch. Ron's internal struggle with performance anxiety and public humiliation by Slytherins. Draco Malfoy's cruel insults. Targeting both the Weasleys and Harry's mother, provoking Harry and George to attack. Umbridge's overreaching punishment, banning Harry and the twins from Quidditch, a symbolic suppression of student morale. The beginning of a shift in house dynamics, with Gryffindor uniting under pressure. Book versus movie differences. This intense Quidditch match and the resulting fight are completely absent from the movie. The films skip over most of the Quidditch scenes in Order of the Phoenix, meaning Ron's struggles and eventual growth on the Quidditch pitch are downplayed. The dramatic moment when Ginny catches the snitch and Harry punches Draco are never shown. Umbridge's Quidditch ban is not part of the movie adaptation. These omissions remove key emotional beats and character developments that are pivotal in the book. This chapter's entire Quidditch storyline is missing from the film, removing key moments of character development and house dynamics. What did you think of Ginny as the new Seeker? Comment below. Like this video, subscribe to Boundless Books, and stay tuned for Chapter 20, where secrets and suspicions grow darker. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 20 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Hagrid's Tale. This chapter marks the long-awaited return of Hagrid and reveals his secret mission for Dumbledore. The narrative shifts between worry, tension, and awe as we uncover the perilous journey Hagrid undertook and the difficult truths he brings back. After a long absence, Hagrid finally returns to Hogwarts looking battered, bruised, and exhausted. Harry, Ron, and Hermione are relieved to see him but are immediately concerned by his injuries and evasive answers. Dolores Umbridge quickly begins harassing Hagrid, clearly displeased by his return and determined to scrutinize him. Later that evening, the trio sneaks out under the invisibility cloak to visit Hagrid and learn the truth about his mission. They find him in his hut, nursing wounds, and trying to act as if everything is fine. After some persuasion, Hagrid opens up about his secret mission with Madame Maxime. They were sent by Dumbledore to parley with the giants. Hagrid's tale is both thrilling and grim. The two half-giants journey to the mountains in secret, navigating treacherous conditions to reach the giant colony. They met the Gurg, Carcass, and attempted to convince him to join Dumbledore's cause. However, soon after, Carcass was overthrown by a brutal giant named Golgamath, who supported Voldemort. The giants descended into internal conflict, and Hagrid's attempts to reason with the new Gurg failed. Despite the dangers, Hagrid stayed for weeks, risking his life to protect and persuade any sympathetic giants. He was attacked multiple times, which explains his current state. He also hints at hiding someone in the forest but refuses to explain further. The trio is impressed by Hagrid's bravery but deeply worried about his safety, especially since Umbridge is determined to find an excuse to fire him. Hagrid, however, insists he will carry on and continue teaching care of magical creatures. Key moments in the chapter include Hagrid's unexpected and injured return to Hogwarts, Umbridge's immediate hostility and implied plan to evaluate Hagrid, the trio's secret nighttime visit to Hagrid's hut, Hagrid's detailed retelling of his mission to the giant colony with Madame Maxime, the overthrow of Carcass by Golgamath and the shift in allegiance toward Voldemort, Hagrid's mention of a mysterious presence he brought back with him, growing concern about Umbridge's interference and Hagrid's vulnerability. Book versus movie differences. This chapter is completely absent from the movie adaptation. The films omit Hagrid's tale about the giants entirely, including the critical political subplot involving his and Maxime's dangerous mission. The films also reduce Umbridge's interference with Hagrid's classes and skip the detailed explanation of the giants' political upheaval. Hagrid's injuries and bravery in trying to sway the giants are a major omission in the movie, which downplays both his character depth and the growing complexities of the war. That wraps up Chapter 20, Hagrid's Tale. This chapter uncovers a forgotten but vital thread of Dumbledore's resistance strategy. What did you think about Hagrid's bravery and the giants' tragic politics? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we explore Chapter 21, The Eye of the Snake. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 21 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Eye of the Snake. This chapter draws us deeper into the mental connection between Harry and Voldemort, culminating in one of the most chilling moments of the book. As Christmas approaches at Hogwarts, the atmosphere grows increasingly tense. The DA meetings continue to inspire hope and confidence among the students, but dark undercurrents persist. Harry continues to feel isolated, especially after he notices Cho avoiding him following their awkward interaction in the previous chapter. Professor Umbridge remains a looming threat, intensifying her grip on the school and ramping up her surveillance. One day, while Harry is walking with Ron and Hermione, Hagrid unexpectedly returns to Hogwarts. Bruised and battered, Hagrid is evasive about his whereabouts, but Ron and Hermione suspect he has been on a dangerous mission for Dumbledore. Harry and his friends visit Hagrid in his hut later that night. Hagrid confirms he was on a mission for Dumbledore. He had been sent to negotiate with the giants. His account is grim. Although he and Madame Maxime managed to contact the giants, Voldemort's Death Eaters had already arrived and secured the giants' loyalty. Despite their efforts, the mission was largely unsuccessful. Hagrid promises to continue teaching, but he hints at something he brought back from the mission, refusing to reveal more. Meanwhile, Harry continues his Occlumency lessons with Snape. These sessions are mentally and emotionally exhausting. Snape is cold and unhelpful,
and Harry finds it nearly impossible to block out his thoughts and emotions under pressure. During one of their sessions, Harry becomes frustrated at Snape's refusal to explain how to defend himself and storms out. Later that night, Harry has a terrifying dream. He sees himself as a snake slithering through a dark corridor. Through the snake's eyes, he attacks someone lunging at them, sinking fangs into their flesh. The vision is so vivid and disturbing that Harry wakes up screaming. He soon realizes the person being attacked was Mr. Weasley. Panicked, he immediately tells Dumbledore what he saw. Dumbledore takes swift action, sending help to find Arthur and arranging for the Weasleys to go to St. Mungo's hospital. However, Dumbledore refuses to speak directly to Harry and communicates through others, including a portrait of Phineas Nigellus Black. Harry is deeply hurt and confused by this cold detachment. The chapter ends with Harry being taken to Grimmauld Place by Portkey, along with the other Weasleys and Hermione. The reality that his mind may be connected to Voldemort's in a deeper, more dangerous way than he thought becomes increasingly apparent. Key moments in the chapter include Hagrid's return and his account of the failed giant diplomacy mission, the continuation of Occlumency lessons and Harry's difficulty with the discipline, Harry's terrifying vision of Mr. Weasley being attacked by a snake, the realization that the attack actually happened, Harry witnessed it through Voldemort's eyes, Dumbledore's cold reaction and decision not to engage directly with Harry, the emotional shift as Harry begins to feel like a danger to those around him. Book versus movie differences. This pivotal chapter is significantly condensed or altered in the film adaptation. Hagrid's detailed recounting of the giant mission is either omitted or glossed over. Most notably, the psychological weight and horror of Harry's vision, as well as his increasing fear about being connected to Voldemort, are downplayed in the movie. Also, the tension with Snape during Occlumency lessons and Dumbledore's deliberate avoidance of Harry are not explored in the same depth. That wraps up Chapter 21, The Eye of the Snake. This chapter is a turning point. It deepens the mystery of Harry's mental connection to Voldemort and raises serious questions about trust, power, and danger. What did you think about the snake vision and Dumbledore's silence? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we uncover Chapter 22, St. Mungo's Hospital for Magical Maladies and Injuries.
Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 22 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled St. Mungo's Hospital for Magical Maladies and Injuries. This chapter follows the aftermath of Harry's terrifying dream of Arthur Weasley's attack and introduces us to a rarely explored magical institution, St. Mungo's Hospital. Let's dive deep into this emotional and mysterious chapter filled with fear, revelations, and a touch of tragedy. Harry wakes in the middle of the night screaming after his dream where he had witnessed Mr. Weasley being attacked by a giant snake. He is immediately taken to Dumbledore's office by Professor McGonagall, along with Ron. Once there, Harry recounts the dream in detail, including how he felt he was the snake. The room falls into an ominous silence as Dumbledore quickly sends for help and orders swift action. He speaks to a mysterious portrait and dispatches Fawkes to retrieve help from the Order. Tonks and Kingsley arrive, and Dumbledore sends them to investigate and help Mr. Weasley. Harry, meanwhile, is left in a state of guilt and confusion, troubled that he saw the attack through the snake's eyes and was enjoying it. Dumbledore seems to intentionally avoid eye contact with Harry, which makes him feel worse. Harry, Ron, and their siblings, Fred, George, and Ginny, are quickly taken to Grimmauld Place, where they reunite with the rest of the Weasleys and Sirius. Emotions run high as they wait anxiously for news about Mr. Weasley's condition. Eventually, they hear that Arthur has survived and is stable but being treated at St. Mungo's Hospital. Over the following days, Harry becomes more troubled, believing that he might be possessed by Voldemort. This leads him to isolate himself from his friends. He wonders if Voldemort is using him as a tool to spy on the Order or harm others. Ginny, however, firmly rejects Harry's fear of possession. She reminds him that she had actually been possessed by Voldemort in her first year and knows how it felt, something Harry clearly isn't experiencing. This offers Harry some relief and helps him open up to others again. On Christmas Day, the Weasley children, Harry, and some Order members visit Arthur at St. Mungo's.
They pass through a hidden entrance behind a store and enter the bustling magical hospital, which is filled with witches and wizards suffering from strange injuries, talking boils, cursed objects, spell mishaps, and more. Arthur is cheerful despite his injuries, and the family tries to enjoy the visit. However, things take an unexpected and painful turn when they run into Gilderoy Lockhart, who is still in the long-term spell damage ward. He remains the same vain and clueless figure, having no real memory of who he is.
In that same ward, the group is shocked to come across Neville Longbottom and his grandmother visiting Neville's parents, Frank and Alice Longbottom.
Both are permanently damaged from the Cruciatus curse inflicted by Death Eaters and are unable to recognize anyone, including their son. This moment is heavy with emotion as Harry witnesses Neville's quiet pain and loyalty to his parents. Though Neville doesn't want others to know, Harry and the Weasleys now understand the burden Neville silently carries.
The chapter ends with a deeper understanding of the cost of the war against Voldemort,
and a heavy reminder of the long-lasting impact on the families of those who fought bravely.
Key moments in the chapter include Harry's terrifying vision of Mr. Weasley's attack, the urgency and seriousness in Dumbledore's reaction, Harry's fear of being possessed by Voldemort, emotional support from Ginny, showcasing her growth and empathy, the first visit to St. Mungo's Hospital, revealing a unique side of the wizarding world,
encounter with the still amnesiac Gilderoy Lockhart, the heartbreaking revelation about Neville's parents and his quiet strength.
Book versus movie differences. This chapter is entirely absent from the movie. In the film, Mr. Weasley is shown injured, but viewers don't see the emotional hospital visit, the interior of St. Mungo's, or the encounter with Neville's parents. Lockhart also does not appear again after Chamber of Secrets in the movies. These omissions remove important depth from Neville's backstory and the broader implications of magical injuries.
The book presents this chapter as a key emotional and world-building moment.
That wraps up Chapter 22, St. Mungo's Hospital for Magical Maladies and Injuries.
It's a deeply emotional chapter that expands the world while showing the hidden pain some characters carry. Let us know your favorite moment from this chapter in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 23.
Welcome back to Boundless Books.
Today, we're diving into Chapter 23 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Christmas on the Closed Ward. This emotionally charged chapter takes place during the holiday break at Hogwarts and St. Mungo's Hospital for Magical Maladies and Injuries. Harry struggles with the fallout of his disturbing dream, questions about his connection to Voldemort, and a deeply emotional visit to the long-term ward where he encounters tragic reminders of past battles. Following the aftermath of his vision of attacking Mr. Weasley, Harry isolates himself, haunted by the possibility that he is being possessed by Voldemort. He fears he might be a danger to his friends and begins distancing himself,
even from Ron and Hermione.
The trio reunites at 12, Grimmauld Place for the holidays, where Harry shares his fears with Sirius and the others. They reassure him that he is not possessed and instead explain that he may have a rare mental link with Voldemort, possibly due to the cursed scar. Molly Weasley fusses over everyone as they prepare for Christmas, but the joy is subdued. Arthur Weasley is recovering at St. Mungo's, and on Christmas Day, Harry, Ron, Hermione, Ginny, and the twins go to visit him with Molly. The hospital is chaotic and fascinating, with all manner of magical injuries and illnesses. During the visit, they unexpectedly run into Gilderoy Lockhart, who is still recovering from his memory loss caused by his own faulty memory charm in Chamber of Secrets. The visit takes a more somber turn when they proceed to the closed ward, a high-security section for long-term patients.
There, they encounter Frank and Alice Longbottom, Neville's parents, who were tortured into insanity by Bellatrix Lestrange. This is the first time Harry, and readers, truly understand the extent of Neville's personal tragedy.
The moment is raw and powerful. Neville's grandmother explains what happened to his parents, and when Alice hands Neville a Drooble's best-blowing gum wrapper, Neville quietly accepts it, showing the love he still holds for them despite their condition. This poignant scene deepens the emotional weight of the chapter and highlights the real, lasting damage caused by the war against Voldemort. It also builds stronger empathy for Neville, who has often been underestimated but now stands as a quiet symbol of resilience. Back at Grimmauld Place, Harry reflects on what he saw. Though the emotional toll is great, he also gains a deeper understanding of what the fight against Voldemort truly means, not just in power, but in pain, loss, and loyalty. Key moments in the chapter include Harry worrying he's being possessed by Voldemort and isolating himself, Sirius, Lupin, and the others explaining the mental connection between Harry and Voldemort, the visit to St. Mungo's, providing insight into the magical world's healthcare system, the encounter with Gilderoy Lockhart, offering a moment of levity amidst the heavier themes,
the heartbreaking scene with Frank and Alice Longbottom in the closed ward, Neville's quiet dignity and the unspoken grief he carries,
the emotional shift in Harry's understanding of the real consequences of war.
Differences between book and movie. This chapter is completely omitted from the movie.
The visit to St. Mungo's, the meeting with Gilderoy Lockhart, and especially the powerful revelation about Neville's parents never make it to the screen.
As a result, movie viewers miss out on key emotional development for both Harry and Neville.
The scene showing the Longbottoms is crucial for character depth and world-building. Its absence in the film makes Neville's character arc less impactful.
Conclusion and call to action. That wraps up Chapter 23, Christmas on the Closed Ward.
This chapter stands out as one of the most heartfelt in the series, revealing the silent battles that many characters carry beneath the surface. Neville's moment especially adds depth to his story and foreshadows his growing role in the Resistance.
Let us know in the comments, what did you think of the visit to St. Mungo's and Neville's moment with his parents? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 24, Occlumency. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 24 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Occlumency.
This chapter shifts our focus to the mental battlefield, where Harry must learn to protect his mind from Lord Voldemort's intrusions. It's a tense and revealing chapter that introduces a crucial magical discipline and further explores Harry's mysterious connection with the Dark Lord. As the chapter opens, Harry is still reeling from Mr. Weasley's attack in the Department of Mysteries. Dumbledore has arranged for Mr. Weasley to recover at St. Mungo's, and the family visits him there. While the visit offers a small reprieve, Harry is increasingly haunted by the disturbing dreams and visions he experiences, especially the one where he saw the attack through the eyes of the snake.
Nagini.
When they return to Grimmauld Place for the holidays, Sirius is both delighted and restless. He finds happiness in having Harry and his friends around but is bitterly constrained by being confined to his family's ancestral home. The gloom of winter and Sirius's slow emotional decline create a heavy atmosphere. The real shift in the chapter comes when Harry is called into a private meeting with Professor Snape. Much to Harry's surprise and frustration, Dumbledore has ordered Snape to give Harry occlumency lessons, a magical technique to close his mind against external influence and protect himself from Voldemort's mental intrusions.
Snape, of course, takes no pleasure in the arrangement. He makes it immediately clear that these lessons will not be pleasant or friendly. In a cold, forbidding room at Hogwarts, Snape begins by briefly explaining the theory of occlumency, the process of clearing the mind of emotion and thought, so an intruder cannot gain access to one's memories or manipulate one's mind. Without much preparation or encouragement, Snape launches into the practical part of the lesson, attacking Harry's mind with legilimency, the magical art of extracting memories or thoughts. Harry experiences flashes of memories, both vivid and private, being dragged out into the open as Snape forcibly enters his consciousness. The experience is invasive, painful, and humiliating. As the sessions continue, Harry struggles. Snape gives him little instruction on how to resist the mind probes, merely criticizing his failures. Harry finds it difficult to clear his mind, especially with so many emotions constantly bubbling beneath the surface: anger, fear, guilt, and confusion. During one such lesson,
Harry has an especially strong reaction. He sees himself in a dreamlike state, walking down a corridor in the Department of Mysteries again, the same place he saw during the vision of Mr. Weasley's attack. This corridor becomes a recurring element in Harry's dreams, and it's clear that Voldemort is somehow drawing Harry's mind there. Back in the Gryffindor common room, Harry discusses this strange corridor with Ron and Hermione.
Hermione, ever the voice of reason, insists Harry take the occlumency lessons seriously.
She warns that Voldemort might be using Harry's connection as a way to manipulate or control him. Harry isn't entirely convinced, but he knows the connection is real and growing stronger. In a quieter, more personal moment, Harry reflects on how isolating the experience is. He feels violated by Snape's mental invasions and burdened by something he doesn't fully understand. Despite the tension, Harry can't help but feel the sense that something deeper is going on, something Dumbledore knows but refuses to share. The chapter closes with a sense of foreboding. The corridor dreams continue to haunt Harry, his occlumency sessions show little progress, and the pressure from the Ministry and Umbridge grows. The stakes are getting higher, and Harry's mind has become the new battlefield.
Key moments in the chapter include: Harry begins occlumency lessons with Snape under Dumbledore's orders. Introduction of occlumency and legilimency, critical magical disciplines. Harry's dreams of the Department of Mysteries corridor intensify. Tensions grow between Harry and Snape as the lessons progress. Sirius's restlessness and emotional deterioration are further revealed. Hermione insists on the importance of occlumency, warning of Voldemort's influence.
The mystery of the connection between Harry and Voldemort deepens.
Book versus movie, key differences: the occlumency lessons are shown briefly in the movie, with a more stylized and abbreviated treatment.
The emotional depth and psychological struggle Harry experiences in the book is far more detailed. The Department of Mysteries dreams are only touched on in the film, while the book builds a gradual suspense and a sense of mystery around the corridor. The emotional toll on Sirius and the growing bitterness of his confinement is largely omitted in the film.
The hostile tension and subtle psychological warfare between Harry and Snape during occlumency lessons is more intense and frequent in the book. That wraps up Chapter 24, Occlumency. This chapter adds a new layer of psychological depth and mystery to the story. What do you think Voldemort is trying to achieve through Harry's dreams? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 25.
Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 25 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Beetle at Bay. This chapter plunges us into growing tensions within both the Wizarding and Muggle worlds, while also reintroducing a key character whose identity becomes central to unraveling secrets about the Ministry and Voldemort's return.
The tone is darker than ever, with a mounting sense of urgency and unrest. This chapter begins with grim news: 10 Death Eaters have broken out of Azkaban, an event that shocks the Wizarding community. The Ministry, however, continues to deny Voldemort's return, blaming Sirius Black instead. Chaos is brewing in the world outside Hogwarts, with attacks on Muggles and growing fear among wizards. At school, the pressure intensifies as Professor Umbridge's control tightens, and Dumbledore remains distant.
Meanwhile, the DA continues to meet, growing stronger and more confident under Harry's leadership.
Cho Chang, still emotionally fragile, kisses Harry under mistletoe, but their relationship becomes strained due to her lingering grief over Cedric.
In a surprising twist, Rita Skeeter, the notorious journalist, returns.
Hermione has an idea to use Rita's talents for good by having her write an exposé that will finally tell the truth about Voldemort's return, to be published in The Quibbler, a magazine often dismissed as nonsense. Let's explore the pivotal themes of truth, media, resistance, and betrayal that define this powerful chapter. Key moments in the chapter include: Azkaban breakout. News breaks that 10 Death Eaters, including Bellatrix Lestrange, have escaped Azkaban.
The Daily Prophet blames Sirius Black and avoids mentioning Voldemort, showing the Ministry's desperate denial.
Wizarding world in panic. Attacks on Muggles and disappearances are increasing.
The tone is grim and suggests that the Dark Lord is indeed rising, despite the Ministry's false narrative.
Harry and Cho's tension. Harry and Cho share their first kiss in the Room of Requirement, but Cho's emotions, particularly her crying over Cedric, cause awkwardness.
Hermione later helps Harry understand Cho's complex feelings.
DA growth. Dumbledore's army continues to grow more skilled. Neville in particular shows great improvement, especially with disarming spells.
The group's unity is a symbol of youthful resistance.
Hermione's plan. Hermione corners Rita Skeeter, still bound by the terms of Hermione's blackmail after being caught as an unregistered animagus, a Beetle. She forces Rita to agree to write a truthful article about Harry's story of Voldemort's return. The Quibbler strategy, since the Daily Prophet won't print the truth. Hermione decides to have Rita's article published in the Quibbler, Luna Lovegood's father's magazine. This moment marks a turning point in the fight to spread the truth. Differences between the book and the movie. The entire subplot involving Rita Skeeter's return, the article in the Quibbler, and the media strategy to tell Harry's story is omitted in the movie. Jo and Harry's relationship is simplified in the film. The kiss happens, but the emotional complexity and the conflict with Hermione's perspective are largely removed. The Azkaban breakout is mentioned in the movie but without the dramatic tension and propaganda-focused spin the Ministry uses in the book. The Quibbler does not appear in the movie. Nor is Luna's father, Xenophilius Lovegood, mentioned until Deathly Hallows. That wraps up Chapter 25, The Beetle at Bay. This chapter expertly mixes political tension, character development, and a bold move to reclaim the narrative in a world dominated by lies. Hermione's plan to use Rita Skeeter and the Quibbler shows the growing cleverness of the trio and marks a pivotal moment in their rebellion. What did you think of Hermione's move to use Rita Skeeter as a weapon of truth? Could the truth finally begin to break through the Ministry's lies? Let us know your favorite scene in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 26, Seen and Unforeseen. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 26 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Seen and Unforeseen. This chapter explores the ongoing tensions at Hogwarts, a fateful article in the Quibbler, and the shocking consequences of defying Umbridge's regime. Let's unravel the pivotal events that unfold in this dramatic chapter. The chapter begins with Harry's continued frustration over occlumency lessons with Snape, which seem to be getting nowhere. He starts practicing in secret, but his inability to block his mind is evident as he dreams once again of the Department of Mysteries, particularly the door he longs to open. Snape remains dismissive and harsh, further straining their already tense relationship. Meanwhile, the atmosphere at Hogwarts grows even bleaker. Educational Decree Number 27 is posted, stating that any student in possession of the Quibbler will be expelled, clearly in reaction to the explosive article Rita Skeeter has written about Harry and his story of Voldemort's return. Despite Umbridge's attempts to suppress the news, the story spreads like wildfire. Students secretly pass the magazine around, and for the first time in months, many look at Harry with something akin to respect and belief. Harry notices that even teachers subtly undermine Umbridge's authority, some by praising Harry or leaving the Quibbler in plain sight. Luna Lovegood becomes something of a hero for publishing the story through her father's magazine, earning her quiet admiration from the DA. The DA meeting continues in secret, but things grow tense when Harry begins to worry about his inability to block Voldemort's visions. He confides in Hermione, who warns him against letting Voldemort manipulate him. The chapter reaches its climax when Umbridge catches Harry trying to use the Flu network in her office to communicate with Sirius. She slaps him with another week of detention, and the mood turns grim. However, the sight of students continuing to support Harry and undermine Umbridge keeps his spirits from sinking completely. Key moments in the chapter include Harry's growing frustration with Occlumency and Snape's dismissive teaching, Harry's recurring dream of the locked door in the Department of Mysteries, Rita Skeeter's exposé on Harry's story of Voldemort's return being published in the Quibbler, Umbridge's furious reaction to the article and the banning of the Quibbler, students and teachers alike quietly rebelling by reading and circulating the Quibbler, Harry's failed attempt to contact Sirius through the Flow network and subsequent detention. Book versus movie differences. This chapter does not appear explicitly in the movie. The article in the Quibbler, the students' and teachers' quiet rebellion, and Harry's increasing struggle with Occlumency are either cut or only hinted at in the film. The movie skips directly to more dramatic confrontations and leaves out the rich detail of Hogwarts' resistance to Umbridge, Luna's growing influence, and Harry's inner conflict. That wraps up Chapter 26, Seen and Unforeseen. This chapter shows how resistance can grow even in the darkest times and sets up key tensions for the story's climax. This chapter's subtle yet powerful resistance and Luna's role are sadly absent from the movie version. What's your favorite act of rebellion at Hogwarts? Comment below, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Let us know your favorite scene in the comments below, And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 27. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 27 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Centaur and the Sneak. This chapter explores tension and betrayal at Hogwarts, as Umbridge tightens her grip on the school and one of Dumbledore's army members betrays them, leading to dire consequences. The chapter opens with Harry and his friends continuing their secret meetings of Dumbledore's army, the DA, despite increasing danger. The DA members have been learning spells with great enthusiasm, and Harry notices how much everyone has improved. He feels a sense of pride and belonging as he teaches them defensive magic. However, the growing threat of discovery looms over them. Meanwhile, Hermione is secretly plotting something, dropping mysterious hints about an idea to deal with Umbridge. She refuses to explain yet, telling Harry and Ron to trust her. Hagrid finally returns to Hogwarts after his mysterious absence. He is battered, bruised, and evasive about where he has been. In a private meeting with Harry, Ron, and Hermione, Hagrid reluctantly reveals that he had been sent by Dumbledore to negotiate with the Giants, attempting to recruit them to the fight against Voldemort. His mission was dangerous and ultimately unsuccessful, as the Giants were already being courted by Death Eaters and are now divided. Hagrid clearly downplays the danger he faced. But it's clear that his injuries were sustained in violent encounters during his mission. Later, Harry and Ron are called to Professor McGonagall's office. She warns them that Umbridge is determined to catch and punish those defying her authority and advises them to be extremely cautious. This foreshadows trouble ahead. At the next DA meeting, everything seems normal until the Room of Requirement is suddenly stormed by Umbridge and members of the Inquisitorial Squad. Cho's friend Marietta Edgecombe has betrayed the DA by telling Umbridge about their meetings in exchange for leniency. Thanks to Hermione's foresight, however, Marietta suffers a nasty magical consequence. Her face breaks out in horrible spots spelling sneak, the result of an enchanted parchment Hermione had everyone sign when they joined the DA. Umbridge, furious, tries to extract more information from Harry and the others, but they remain defiant. The chapter ends on a bitter note of betrayal and looming punishment, with the DA disbanded and Umbridge triumphant. For now, key moments in the chapter include continued DA meetings and the students' progress, Hermione's mysterious plan to deal with Umbridge, Hagrid's dangerous mission to the Giants and his injuries, McGonagall's warning to Harry and Ron about Umbridge, Marietta Edgecombe betrays the DA, Hermione's clever jinx on the DA parchment exposes Marietta as a sneak, Umbridge's partial victory over the DA. Book versus movie differences. This chapter is entirely omitted from the movie adaptation. The betrayal of the DA by Marietta is replaced with Cho Chang being forced to reveal the group's secret under Veritaserum. Hagrid's mission to the Giants is only briefly touched upon in the film, and his injuries and detailed story are left out. The clever jinx on the DA parchment is also missing from the movie, depriving Hermione of one of her shining moments of cleverness and foresight. That wraps up Chapter 27, The Centaur and the Sneak. This chapter showcases trust, betrayal, and the cost of defiance under a tyrannical regime. Let us know what you think of Marietta's betrayal and Hermione's clever jinx in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 28.
Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we dive into one of the most emotional and revealing chapters in the Harry Potter series, Chapter 28 of Order of the Phoenix, titled Snape's Worst Memory. This chapter gives us a rare and uncomfortable look at the teenage years of Severus Snape, and Harry comes face to face with the reality that even his father wasn't perfect. We begin with Harry under growing pressure. He's been having increasingly vivid flashes of Voldemort's emotions. Today, a strange determination and eagerness, and it's clear his connection to the Dark Lord is strengthening. But instead of help, Harry's forced into yet another grueling occlumency lesson with Snape. When Harry arrives, he's already angry and distracted, frustrated with his inability to block out Voldemort and resentful of Snape's harsh teaching methods. During this session, Voldemort's feelings overpower him, and Harry falters yet again.
Snape snaps at him, calling him weak and undisciplined. At that moment, Snape leaves briefly to fetch something from a nearby shelf, leaving his pensive, the magical basin where he stores private memories, sitting uncovered on his desk. Harry's curiosity gets the better of him. He leans forward, peering into the silvery swirl of thought, and falls into Snape's memory. Harry finds himself outside on the Hogwarts grounds, watching a younger version of Snape, pale,
thin, and greasy-haired, sitting by a tree, reading.
A group of fifth-year Gryffindor boys walk by: James Potter, Sirius Black, Remus Lupin, and Peter Pettigrew. To Harry's horror, James and Sirius begin taunting Snape unprovoked. With a casual flick of his wand, James uses the spell Levi Corpus, flipping Snape upside down in front of a crowd of laughing students. Harry watches as his father mocks and humiliates Snape, while Sirius eggs him on and Lupin quietly reads his book, doing nothing to stop them. Then Lily Evans, Harry's mother, steps forward from the watching students and tries to intervene. She pleads with James and Sirius to leave Snape alone. James seems more interested in impressing her than in actually letting Snape go, but the final blow comes when Snape, humiliated and enraged, lashes out, calling Lily a mudblood. Horrified, Lily storms off, deeply hurt.
Snape is left upside down, humiliated and abandoned, while James continues to smirk. Harry feels his stomach drop as he watches this scene.
His image of his father, as the heroic, noble man he had always imagined, is shattered. Suddenly, Harry is wrenched out of the memory by an enraged Snape. His face is white with fury, and he orders Harry out of his office immediately. He screams that the lessons are over, that Harry is no longer welcome, and that he has no right to pry into memories that don't belong to him. Harry flees, deeply shaken. Not only has he angered Snape beyond repair, but he's seen a side of his father that he wishes he could forget. This chapter leaves both Harry and readers questioning what it really means to be a hero, and whether good and evil are as clear-cut as they seem.
Key moments: Harry senses Voldemort's determination during Occlumency. Snape leaves the pensive unguarded. Harry sees James bullying Snape with Levi Corpus. Lily tries to defend Snape but is rebuffed with a mudblood slur. Snape catches Harry in the memory and ends the lessons in fury.
Book versus movie. This entire chapter was cut from the film. The movies never show Harry discovering James's bullying of Snape, nor Lily's defense of him. This omission removes one of the series' most important revelations about Snape's motivations and Harry's realization that even his parents had flaws.
That wraps up chapter 28, Snape's worst memory. What did you think of James's actions? Do you think Harry was right to look in the pensive? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for chapter 29 next time. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're exploring chapter 29 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Career Advice. This chapter brings us into the quieter yet deeply significant moment when Hogwarts students begin to contemplate their futures. Against the backdrop of ministry interference and increasing tension at the school, Harry finds resolve in his ambition to become an Auror and sees Professor McGonagall stand her ground in an unforgettable clash with Dolores Umbridge. Let's dive in. The morning after Fred and George's escape. The chapter begins the morning after Fred and George Weasley make their dramatic and defiant exit from Hogwarts, leaving chaos and fireworks in their wake. Their rebellion against Umbridge has left the students buzzing with admiration, and the staff seem quietly supportive of the twins' actions. Peeves the Poltergeist is particularly inspired, wreaking more havoc than usual in a show of solidarity. Interestingly, even teachers seem to overlook or subtly encourage the mayhem, a clear sign of growing resentment against Umbridge's oppressive rule. Harry, however, remains distracted from the celebratory atmosphere. His mind is weighed down by the continuing pain in his scar and the strange connection he shares with Voldemort. He's also haunted by the memory of his vision from chapter 28, seeing Sirius being tortured at the Department of Mysteries, though he keeps his worry to himself for now. Career advice sessions begin. The fifth year's career advice sessions kick off, a regular part of Hogwarts life meant to help students choose their NEWT courses and start thinking about magical professions. Notices about the sessions have been posted on the common room boards for days, and students are being called one by one to meet with their heads of house. When it's finally Harry's turn, he walks nervously to Professor McGonagall's office. Inside, McGonagall sits behind her tidy desk, parchment and quill at the ready.
Her demeanor is her usual no-nonsense self, but she also offers her subtle, quiet encouragement as she asks Harry what career path he's interested in pursuing. Harry's choice, an Auror. Harry, a little unsure at first, admits that he's thought about becoming an Auror, a dark wizard catcher, ever since he learned about them in his 3rd year. McGonagall regards him with a rare glint of approval in her eyes, telling him that it's a challenging yet highly respectable path. She outlines the qualities an Auror needs: high-level defensive magic, excellent reflexes, and a spotless record. She begins to list the necessary EWT subjects Harry must achieve top marks in to qualify: defense against the dark arts, of course, but also potions, transfiguration, and charms. McGonagall warns him that Professor Snape, who teaches potions, only accepts students who achieve at least an outstanding on their OWL. She encourages Harry not to let this deter him but to aim as high as possible. Umbridge interrupts. Just as McGonagall and Harry are discussing his options, the door bursts open and in walks Dolores Umbridge, wearing her saccharine smile and her ever-present fluffy pink cardigan. She claims she wants to observe the career advice process, but her real intention quickly becomes obvious: to intimidate and belittle Harry. Umbridge wastes no time in making snide comments about Harry's ambition, loudly questioning whether the Ministry would ever accept someone with Harry's record. She refers to his supposed delusions and disciplinary issues, mocking his belief that Voldemort has returned. Umbridge suggests Harry might instead consider a career in magical maintenance, implying that he is unfit for anything else. McGonagall, however, immediately jumps to Harry's defense. In one of the most memorable moments of the book, she icily tells Umbridge to mind her own business and states firmly that she will personally ensure Harry achieves the marks and skills he needs to become an Auror, even if it means coaching him herself every night. The tension in the room is palpable as the two women stare each other down, neither backing down an inch. A defining moment, for Harry, this moment is hugely significant. He sees that at least one member of the staff truly believes in him and is willing to fight for his future. McGonagall's staunch support emboldens him, and he leaves the meeting more determined than ever to succeed. In the corridors outside, the faint sound of distant fireworks from Fred and George's earlier mischief seems almost symbolic, a spark of rebellion and resistance still alive in the walls of Hogwarts. Key moments in the chapter include: Fred and George's departure continues to inspire chaos, especially from Peeves, who has taken up their cause. Career advice sessions begin for 5th years, marking a coming-of-age milestone. Harry declares his ambition to become an Auror and learns the requirements for the career. Umbridge interrupts the session to undermine Harry and question his ability. McGonagall fiercely defends Harry, promising to help him achieve his goals no matter what. Harry leaves the meeting more motivated than before, feeling supported and seen. Book versus movie differences: this chapter does not appear in the movie adaptation at all. Harry's career ambitions and the vital scene of McGonagall standing up to Umbridge are completely omitted, which removes a layer of depth from both Harry's character and McGonagall's role as a mentor. The book version offers a memorable example of staff resistance and gives Harry a clear goal for his future, becoming an Auror, which the films only allude to later. That wraps up Chapter 29, Career Advice. This chapter may seem quieter compared to the battles and chaos elsewhere in the story, but it's a pivotal moment for Harry's personal growth and for the rebellion simmering at Hogwarts. McGonagall's unflinching defense of her student shows just how much the staff truly care, even under Umbridge's oppressive rule. What magical career would you choose if you were at Hogwarts? Let us know your answer in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us next time as we dive into Chapter 30. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 30 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Grop. This chapter takes us deep into the Forbidden Forest, where Hagrid finally shares the mysterious mission he undertook over the summer, and we meet a new, unexpected character, Hagrid's half-brother, Grop. Let's unpack the secrets, the tension, and the heartfelt risks of this chapter. The chapter begins with Harry and Hermione growing increasingly concerned about Hagrid. His face is bruised and bloodied more often than not, and his behavior remains erratic. Despite their questions, Hagrid insists he's fine and won't tell them anything. Meanwhile, Umbridge's reign of terror continues at Hogwarts. Students whisper about Hagrid possibly being dismissed next, and even Professor McGonagall has started confronting Umbridge more openly. One day after a particularly rough lesson, Hagrid pulls Harry and Hermione aside and insists they come with him for something important. Ron, nursing his injured hand from Quidditch practice, stays behind. The two follow Hagrid as he leads them into the Forbidden Forest. The trek is arduous and unsettling. The thick canopy casts long shadows, strange noises echo around them, and the deeper they go, the more uneasy they feel. At one point, they are intercepted by centaurs who confront Hagrid aggressively, warning him not to venture further into their territory. The centaurs clearly despise humans and tell Hagrid in no uncertain terms that his presence, and the abomination he brought with him, is an affront to their forest. Hagrid, unfazed, dismisses their warnings and leads Harry and Hermione onward. Finally, they reach a small clearing deep in the forest. There, crouched awkwardly and almost blending into the surrounding trees, is Grop. At first glance, Harry and Hermione can hardly believe their eyes. He's massive, at least 16 feet tall, with tangled hair, coarse skin, and a confused, childlike expression. Hagrid introduces him as his half-brother, explaining that after Dumbledore sent him to parley with the giants over the summer, he discovered Grop among the hostile tribes. Hagrid explains how he couldn't bear to leave Grop there bullied and beaten by the other giants, so he brought him back to Hogwarts in secret. But Grop has been impossible to control. Hagrid desperately wants to civilize him, teaching him English and basic manners. He even demonstrates, asking Grop to say Hermione's name, resulting in a garbled but recognizably affectionate Hermy. Hermione is visibly horrified by the entire situation, while Harry feels a mixture of pity and disbelief. Hagrid confides that he's worried about being sacked soon and needs someone to look after Grop in his absence. He begs Harry and Hermione to visit Grop and keep him company if Hagrid is forced to leave. Neither of them agrees outright, but Hagrid seems satisfied enough with their silence. Their visit is cut short as Grop becomes agitated, trying to reach for Hermione, who shrinks back in fear. Hagrid pulls them away quickly, promising Grop he'll be back soon and leading Harry and Hermione out of the forest. As they make their way back to the castle, the mood is tense. Harry and Hermione are troubled not just by what they've seen, but by what Hagrid is asking them to do, a dangerous favor that could easily get them killed. The chapter ends with the ominous reality that Hagrid's job at Hogwarts is hanging by a thread. And his loyalty to family and Dumbledore has led him into a desperate situation. Key moments in the chapter include Hagrid's mysterious injuries and increasingly erratic behavior. Hagrid leading Harry and Hermione deep into the Forbidden Forest. The confrontation with hostile centaurs who resent Hagrid's presence and his abomination. The dramatic reveal of Grop, Hagrid's half-brother, and Hagrid's emotional explanation of why he brought him back. Hermione's horror and Harry's mixed feelings about Grop. Hagrid's plea to Harry and Hermione to watch over Grop if he is dismissed. Grop attempting to speak, calling Hermione Hermy. The looming threat of Hagrid losing his job. Book versus movie differences. In the book, Grop's backstory is more fleshed out. We see his mistreatment by the giants, Hagrid's emotional reasons for bringing him to Hogwarts, and the escalating conflict with the centaurs. The movie condenses these elements, omitting much of Hagrid's plea to Harry and Hermione and minimizing the tension with the centaurs. The emotional weight of Hagrid's loyalty to Grop is better explored in the book. That wraps up Chapter 30, Grop. This chapter shows just how far Hagrid is willing to go for his family, even at great personal risk. What did you think about Hagrid's decision to bring Grop to Hogwarts? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 31, OWLS.
Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 31 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled OWLS. This chapter places us in the eye of the storm as fifth-year students, including Harry and his friends, face their OWL, ordinary wizarding level, exams, an incredibly important academic moment in their magical education. The chapter brilliantly captures the stress, pressure, and chaos of exams at Hogwarts, all while pushing the story into darker territory. The exam week begins,
the chapter opens with Hogwarts gripped by nervous energy as students prepare for their OWL as Harry, Ron, and Hermione are buried in revision, while even the ever-laid-back Fred and George are affected by the looming tests. The ministry-appointed examiners arrive, including the stern but fair Professor Marchbanks, a legend in magical academic circles. The exams are spread over 2 weeks, and they include both written and practical elements. The Great Hall has been transformed into a silent, formal examination venue. The first tests are in Charms and Transfiguration, followed by Herbology, Defense against the Dark Arts, and more. Harry's performance: Harry does well in some subjects. His practical Defense against the Dark Arts exam goes particularly well.
He casts a stunning Patronus under pressure, impressing the examiner. However, the stress takes a toll on him. His recurring dreams of the Department of Mysteries and increasing pain in his scar start interfering with his sleep, causing exhaustion. The astronomy exam proves particularly difficult, not only because it's at night but because real-world drama unfolds during the test. Umbridge's reign faces resistance. Midway through the exams, the school is thrown into chaos by Fred and George Weasley. Tired of Umbridge's authoritarian control and educational restrictions, they decide to go out with a bang, literally. During an exam, they storm the Great Hall on broomsticks, setting off a barrage of magical fireworks that explode into dancing dragons, spell-resistant smoke, and chaotic sparks. Students cheer, and Umbridge is powerless to stop them. The twins make a legendary exit, inviting anyone who wants joke products to visit their new joke shop in Diagon Alley. Their departure becomes an iconic act of rebellion against Umbridge and the Ministry. Night exam turned nightmare. During the astronomy practical, Harry and his classmates are observing the stars when they suddenly see something strange. Umbridge, accompanied by Aurors and Filch, dragging Hagrid out of his hut. The scene turns violent as Hagrid fights back,
knocking his attackers aside. Professor McGonagall arrives to help but is hit with multiple stunning spells and collapses. The students are horrified.
Harry, helpless atop the astronomy tower, watches it all unfold, his exam forgotten.
The brutality leaves them shaken, especially seeing McGonagall hurt. The magical fireworks from Fred and George still linger in the air, echoing the chaos. A darker vision. That night, things only worsen for Harry. Exhausted and emotionally frayed, he falls into a troubled sleep and experiences a terrifying vision. He sees Sirius Black being tortured by Voldemort inside the Department of Mysteries.
The pain in Harry's scar is excruciating, making him scream aloud in the dormitory.
The dream feels so real, so visceral, that Harry is convinced Sirius is in grave danger. This sets the stage for the next chapter, where this vision becomes the catalyst for a series of decisions that will have long-lasting consequences. Key moments in the chapter include the arrival of Ministry examiners and the start of OWL exams.
Harry casting a full Patronus in front of an impressed examiner.
Fred and George's epic departure from Hogwarts. Umbridge's abuse of power intensifying.
The violent removal of Hagrid and the stunning of Professor McGonagall. Harry's intense vision of Sirius being tortured.
Book versus movie differences. The movie briefly touches on the OWL exams, mostly through a montage, but it does not show Fred and George's rebellion in its full glory. Their explosive and symbolic exit is far more dramatic and meaningful in the book.
The dream about Sirius, too, is much more vivid in the novel, showing the depth of Harry's trauma and mental state.
The emotional weight of McGonagall's injury is also left out of the movie adaptation, that wraps up Chapter 31, OWLS, between the academic stress, rebellion against tyranny, and Harry's terrifying vision. This chapter packs intensity, magic, and momentum. What spell or subject would you ace in your own OWLS? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 32, Out of the Fire.
Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 32 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Out of the Fire. This chapter takes us through Harry's desperation, an urgent attempt to contact Sirius, and a dangerous confrontation with Professor Umbridge. Let's explore the tense and pivotal moments of this chapter. The chapter begins in the Gryffindor common room after Harry has just had a horrifying vision during his divination exam. He saw Sirius Black being tortured by Voldemort inside the Department of Mysteries.
Panicked and convinced the vision is real, Harry is frantic and determined to do something fast.
Ron and Hermione try to keep him calm.
But Harry is adamant that he has to act immediately to rescue Sirius. A desperate plan with no time to spare, the trio quickly devises a plan. Since they can't use owls, as Umbridge is intercepting messages, they decide to break into Umbridge's office and use her fireplace, which is the only one not being monitored. It's a dangerous idea, but it's the only way to contact someone in Grimmauld Place and find out if Sirius is truly safe. Into the fire, that night, under the cover of darkness, Harry, Ron, and Hermione sneak down to Umbridge's office. While Hermione stands guard, Harry kneels by the fireplace and throws in Floo powder. The flames turn green, and he shouts for Grimmauld Place. His head disappears into the fire as his body remains in Umbridge's office. Inside the flames, Harry appears in the kitchen of 12, Grimmauld Place. There, he finds Kreacher the house elf. The interaction is unnerving. Kreacher informs him that Sirius won't be coming back and that he's gone to the Department of Mysteries. This only confirms Harry's fears. Desperate, he asks to speak to Sirius directly, but Kreacher refuses and disappears. Suddenly, Sirius himself appears, or at least his face, in the fire. But before they can speak, chaos erupts.
Ambushed.
Just as Harry pulls back from the fire, the door slams open and Professor Umbridge storms in, flanked by members of her inquisitorial squad, Draco Malfoy, Pansy Parkinson, Crabbe, Goyle, and others. They've caught Harry red-handed using her office and illegal communication methods. Ron and Hermione are dragged inside as well, and the group is marched back upstairs in triumph by the squad.
Umbridge is livid.
She demands to know what they were doing.
She believes they're contacting Dumbledore and that they're still aiding his rebellion.
Umbridge's interrogation, the group is taken to Umbridge's office, where she prepares to use the Cruciatus Curse on Harry to extract information. Yes, an adult Hogwarts staff member is about to torture a student.
Everyone is horrified.
Harry refuses to speak. Hermione, thinking fast, interrupts and claims they were trying to contact Dumbledore because they were following his secret weapon.
Umbridge becomes very interested. Sensing an opportunity,
Hermione tells her there is a secret weapon hidden in the Forbidden Forest and that she and Harry can lead her to it. The chapter ends with this new tension. Hermione is buying them time, but by leading Umbridge into the forest, where new dangers await. Key moments in the chapter include Harry's terrifying vision of Voldemort torturing Sirius, the trio's decision to break into Umbridge's office, the use of the Floo network to contact Sirius, the cryptic behavior of Kreacher and his misleading responses, Umbridge catching them red-handed and threatening them with the Cruciatus Curse,
Hermione's clever improvisation, pretending there's a secret weapon in the forest.
Book versus movie differences. This entire sequence is missing from the film.
In the movie, Harry doesn't use the Floo network to contact Sirius. Instead, the urgency around Sirius's disappearance is significantly downplayed.
Kreacher's role and deception are barely explored. Most importantly, the intense psychological manipulation and Umbridge's willingness to use the Cruciatus Curse, a critical detail in the book, is entirely omitted from the film version. This removes the moral weight and tension that makes this chapter so powerful in the book, that wraps up chapter 32, Out of the Fire. This chapter is a turning point. Harry's impulsiveness, Kreacher's betrayal, and Umbridge's cruelty all collide in this moment. Let us know your favorite scene or character in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for chapter 33, Fight and Flight.
Welcome back to Boundless Books.
Today, we're diving into chapter 33 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Fight and Flight. This chapter is packed with tension, magical creatures, and bold decisions, as Hermione leads Harry and Dolores Umbridge into the heart of the Forbidden Forest, triggering events that propel the story toward its climactic ending. The chapter opens with Hermione's strange insistence that she and Harry take Umbridge into the Forbidden Forest. Harry is confused, but Hermione's urgency leaves him little room to argue. Umbridge follows them with smug self-assurance, assuming they are leading her to Dumbledore's mysterious weapon. The forest grows darker and more foreboding as they walk. the thick canopy cutting out the moonlight and the gnarled trees closing in around them. Harry tries to piece together Hermione's plan, but she remains tight-lipped, focused and determined. They suddenly step into a clearing and find themselves surrounded. Out of the trees step more than a dozen centaurs, led by the towering and fierce Bane.
The herd's presence is commanding, half human, half horse. They emanate both nobility and danger.
The air crackles with tension as Umbridge takes a step forward, her expression twisted with disdain. She calls the centaurs filthy half-breeds and demands they obey her as High Inquisitor of Hogwarts, flashing her wand and asserting her ministry power.
The centaurs react with immediate outrage.
They've long resented human interference and insults, and Umbridge's arrogance is the final straw. Arrows are raised, and their leader warns her to leave, but Umbridge doesn't stop. She even threatens to have the ministry tame them, a fatal mistake. With a furious roar, the centaurs charge. Before Harry or Hermione can react, they seize Umbridge, ripping her wand away and dragging her into the trees as she shrieks in fury and fear. The sound of her screams fades into the darkness, leaving Harry and Hermione frozen in shock, but the centaurs aren't finished.
They turn on Harry and Hermione, furious that humans have dared lead such trouble into their forest.
Just as they debate what to do with the two young intruders, the forest trembles.
A massive figure bursts into the clearing, Grop, Hagrid's half-giant brother.
His face lights up as he calls for Hagrid, his mangled pronunciation of Hagrid's name. The centaurs panic. They fire arrows, some sticking in Grop's arms and shoulders, but the giant seems more confused than hurt. He swats at the arrows and lunges forward, causing chaos. The herd scatters, some fighting,
some retreating.
Amid the pandemonium, Hermione seizes Harry's arm, and they dash into the forest, slipping away while the centaurs and Grop are distracted. Stumbling out of the trees, they find a sight of relief: Neville, Ginny, Luna, and Ron, who had fought off the Inquisitorial squad to follow Harry. The friends are determined to join Harry's mission to rescue Sirius, refusing to be left behind. Harry hesitates, he feels responsible for dragging them into danger, but their loyalty wins out. There's one problem: transportation.
They need to get to London fast, and no broomsticks are in sight.
That's when Luna, ever calm and insightful, points to what seems to be empty space. Only Harry, Luna, and Neville can see them, but the faint outlines of Thestrals, skeletal, winged horses, are there, drawn by the scent of blood from Grop's encounter. Harry is uncertain about flying them, but with no time to spare, he agrees. Ginny and Hermione mount invisible creatures, guided by Luna and Harry's instructions. Slowly, the creatures lift off the ground, their powerful wings carrying them toward the distant lights of London. Key moments in the chapter include: Hermione cunningly lures Umbridge into the Forbidden Forest, setting the stage for her downfall. Umbridge insults and provokes the centaurs, leading to her being dragged away.
Grop's sudden entrance escalates the chaos and inadvertently saves Harry and Hermione.
The loyal friends Ron, Neville, Luna, and Ginny insist on joining the rescue mission. The Thestrals provide an eerie, magical means of transport, setting up the next chapter's ministry scenes. Book versus movie difference: the book paints a far richer picture of the centaur herd, their culture, and their fury, while the film glosses over the depth of Hermione's trick and the details of the Thestral flight.
The tension, danger, and magical realism are far more vivid on the page. That wraps up Chapter 33, Fight and Flight.
This chapter gives us poetic justice for Umbridge, a reminder of the forest's wild magic, and the first airborne step toward the thrilling conclusion.
Which moment stood out to you most: the centaur confrontation, Grop's arrival, or the flight on Thestrals? Comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for Chapter 34, The Department of Mysteries. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 34 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Department of Mysteries. This chapter marks a thrilling shift in the narrative, taking Harry and his friends deep into the hidden heart of the Ministry of Magic and straight into a trap they didn't see coming. Entering the unknown, the chapter begins with Harry, Ron, Hermione, Ginny, Luna, and Neville arriving at the Ministry of Magic on the Enchanted Thestrals. They sneak into the empty building late at night, their footsteps echoing in the vast atrium.
Guided by Harry's recurring visions of Sirius being tortured by Voldemort, they locate the golden gates of the Department of Mysteries, a place few witches and wizards have ever seen. And even fewer have lived to talk about. Inside, they find themselves in an unsettling circular black room with a dozen identical doors. The walls gleam like polished obsidian, and when a door shuts, the entire room spins, disorienting them. This strange magical mechanism sets the tone. The Department of Mysteries isn't just secret, it's actively designed to confuse and trap intruders. The rooms of wonder and terror, the group begins to open doors cautiously, stepping into one bizarre room after another. Each space is stranger and more dangerous than the last, almost like a museum of magical research gone wrong. They first enter the brain room, where glowing green tanks house floating translucent brains. The sight is both mesmerizing and creepy, the brains pulsating as golden threads swirl around them like trails of thought. While nothing attacks them yet, the implication is clear: these magical experiments are far from harmless. Next, they stumble into the time room, a hauntingly beautiful space where dozens of clocks tick in perfect unison. A massive bell jar in the center contains a small bird that repeatedly hatches from an egg, grows, and then reverts back into an egg, an endless loop of time manipulation. The group can't help but stare in awe, but Hermione urges them to stay cautious. The Ministry's fascination with time magic is dangerous, and they have no idea what might happen if they touch anything. The door they've been looking for, after trying multiple doors, the spinning black room finally leads them to the Hall of Prophecies, the space Harry recognizes from his visions. The sight is breathtaking, a seemingly endless hall of towering shelves, each stacked with dusty, glowing glass orbs. The faint whisper of voices fills the air, as if the prophecies themselves are murmuring secrets too dangerous to be heard. Hermione, always cautious, warns that they shouldn't touch anything. But Harry is driven by his vision of Sirius and feels compelled to press forward. Somewhere in this labyrinth of shelves lies the answer he's been seeking, or so he believes. The prophecy, Harry eventually finds the row and shelf he saw in his dreams. There, glowing softly, is a glass orb labeled with his name and another, Lord Voldemort. The weight of destiny presses in around them. Harry, feeling that this object must be tied to Sirius's safety, reaches for it. The glass orb is cool and surprisingly heavy in his hand. For a moment, nothing happens. No alarms sound, no spells fire off. But Hermione, her instincts sharper than ever, looks nervous. The calm is too perfect, too deliberate. The trap snaps shut. With the orb in Harry's hand, they press deeper into the Hall of Prophecies, searching for Sirius. But the silence is broken by a chilling voice. Lucius Malfoy steps from the shadows, wand in hand, his pale, aristocratic face twisted into a smirk. Behind him, Death Eaters emerge from the darkness, blocking every escape route. The realization slams into Harry and his friends: they've walked straight into a trap. The entire mission, the vision of Sirius, the frantic rush to the Ministry, was a setup orchestrated by Voldemort. The prophecy wasn't just sitting there waiting for Harry by chance. Voldemort wanted Harry to come for it. Key moments in the chapter include the eerie spinning black room that disorients and confuses them every time a door closes, their exploration of magical research chambers like the Brain Room and Time Room, which reveal the Ministry's obsession with dangerous magic, the stunning reveal of the Hall of Prophecies, a vast library of magical knowledge and danger, Harry finding the prophecy orb with his and Voldemort's names inscribed, the sudden ambush by Lucius Malfoy and a team of Death Eaters, setting up the climactic battle to come. Book versus movie differences. The movie skips almost all of the department's fascinating rooms, jumping straight to the Hall of Prophecies and the ensuing battle. The book, however, gives readers a slow, suspenseful exploration of each chamber, which builds tension and deepens the sense of wonder and dread before the trap is sprung. That wraps up Chapter 34. The Department of Mysteries. This chapter serves as the gateway to the dramatic climax of the book, pulling Harry and his friends into one of the most dangerous confrontations they've ever faced. What did you think of the department's mysterious rooms? Which one intrigued or unnerved you the most? Comment your thoughts below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for the action-packed Chapter 35, Beyond the Veil.
Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into Chapter 35 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled Beyond the Veil. This is one of the most emotionally devastating and pivotal chapters in the series, forever changing Harry's life. In this chapter, the mystery of the prophecy collides with betrayal, action, and heartbreaking loss. The chapter begins with Harry and his friends Hermione, Ron, Neville, Ginny, and Luna trapped in the Department of Mysteries, clutching the glowing prophecy orb. Surrounding them are hooded Death Eaters, led by Lucius Malfoy, who calmly demands that Harry hand over the prophecy. Harry refuses, his wand gripped tightly, eyes scanning for Sirius, his reason for coming here. Lucius warns him that only the person the prophecy is about can safely remove it, which is why Voldemort couldn't take it himself. He taunts Harry, suggesting he hand it over before anyone gets hurt. Harry's mind races. He tries to stall, asking if Sirius is alive. Bellatrix Lestrange, her voice both mocking and cruel, cackles and jeers at him, her obsession with Voldemort palpable. Harry does something bold, he says Voldemort's name. The Death Eaters flinch, and Bellatrix, almost unhinged, screeches that Harry should show respect for the Dark Lord. Harry's refusal to do so only angers her more, then chaos erupts. Bellatrix lunges forward with a curse, but Lucius deflects it. Her spell shatters one of the shelves, releasing a swirling, ghostly prophecy voice. Harry seizes the moment, giving the signal. He and his friends simultaneously cast Reducto, shattering shelves of dusty prophecy orbs. The room explodes into a storm of glass, misty apparitions, and flying fragments. In the confusion, they split up, trying to escape. What follows is a frantic, perilous chase through the Department of Mysteries' bizarre rooms. In one room, Hermione is struck by a stunning spell and collapses. In another, Ron is hit by a strange curse. He begins laughing uncontrollably, dazed, and then later suffers a badly broken leg. Ginny's ankle is shattered in the chaos. Neville fights valiantly, but a brutal blow breaks his nose, causing him to speak through muffled words and blood. Despite their injuries, Harry's friends push forward with courage, showing remarkable bravery against overwhelming odds. They reach the eerie Veil Room, a circular chamber dominated by a raised stone archway with a tattered black veil fluttering gently, as though moved by an unseen breeze. Harry feels inexplicably drawn to it, sensing whispers from beyond. But there's no time to ponder its mystery. The Death Eaters flood in, and a brutal magical battle breaks out. Harry and Neville are the only ones still fighting upright when things turn desperate. Neville, nose broken and wand barely working, shouts garbled warnings as Bellatrix Lestrange, grinning wildly, tortures him with the Cruciatus Curse. Harry is enraged but helpless to stop her while fending off attacks. Then, reinforcements arrive, the Order of the Phoenix. Sirius Black, Remus Lupin, Tonks, Moody, and Kingsley Shacklebolt burst into the fray. A fierce duel ignites across the chamber, Order members clashing with Death Eaters in a blaze of spells. Harry feels a wave of relief, his godfather has come, and for a fleeting moment, hope surges, but tragedy strikes as quickly as hope appeared. Bellatrix and Sirius face off in a heated duel. Sirius, always the reckless fighter, taunts her, "Is that the best you've got?" He jeers after dodging a curse. Bellatrix's eyes flash with rage. She fires another spell, one that hits Sirius squarely in the chest. Time slows. Harry watches in horror as Sirius's expression shifts from surprise to shock. The force of the curse knocks him backward. He stumbles, then topples through the fluttering black veil. He doesn't reappear, the room seems to still. Harry screams, bolting toward the arch, but Lupin catches him, holding him back with iron strength. "He's gone, Harry. He's gone." Lupin's voice cracks, but he doesn't let go. Harry struggles violently, refusing to believe it. He can't be gone. He shouts, eyes locked on the veil, convinced Sirius will step back out. But the arch remains empty, the veil swaying softly in silence. In that crushing moment, Harry's world fractures. Sirius, his last true link to his parents, his godfather and protector, is gone. The prophecy orb slips, shattering against the floor, its knowledge lost in an instant. The battle continues around them, but for Harry, everything narrows to the unbearable loss echoing through the stone chamber. Key moments in the chapter include Harry confronting Death Eaters over the prophecy orb, Bellatrix mocking Harry and revealing Voldemort's obsession with the prophecy. The students bravely battling despite serious injuries, Hermione stunned, Ron cursed, Ginny's ankle broken, Neville's nose broken. The Veil Room's haunting atmosphere and its strange, whispering veil. The arrival of the Order of the Phoenix, briefly shifting the tide of battle. Sirius's fatal duel with Bellatrix and his fall through the veil. Harry's anguished realization that his godfather is gone forever. Book versus movie differences. The movie dramatically condenses this chapter. In the book, the battle is longer, more chaotic, and far more detailed, with each friend's injury and bravery shown vividly. The veil is more mysterious, its whispers emphasized, and Sirius's death feels even more sudden and devastating. The prophecy orb breaking at the end is crucial in the book, but barely addressed in the film. That wraps up Chapter 35, Beyond the Veil. This is one of the heaviest and most heartbreaking chapters in the Harry Potter series, marking Harry's first true, devastating loss. What was your most emotional moment from this chapter? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for Chapter 36. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we're diving into Chapter 36 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Only One He Ever Feared. This chapter is one of the most pivotal and emotionally charged moments in the entire series. It begins in devastation and grief and ends with a battle that forever changes the wizarding world. The chapter opens in the death chamber of the Department of Mysteries. Harry, numb with shock, refuses to believe what has just happened. Sirius Black, his godfather, has fallen through the mysterious veiled archway. Lupin holds Harry back as he struggles, shouting for Sirius to come back. The finality of that veil hits him slowly. Sirius is gone. Harry's rage and Bellatrix's escape. Grief turns to anger when Harry sees Bellatrix Lestrange, the one who cast the curse that caused Sirius's fall. Bellatrix bolts from the room, and Harry chases her through the twisting ministry corridors. Consumed by fury, Harry catches up with her in the atrium. Shaking with hatred, he casts the Cruciatus Curse, the same torture curse Bellatrix once used on Neville's parents. Bellatrix falls, writhing briefly, but quickly recovers and laughs mockingly. She taunts Harry, telling him he needs to mean it, that to make the curse truly work, he would need to take pleasure in her pain. This moment is crucial. Harry's attempt shows he is angry enough to use an unforgivable curse. But his refusal to enjoy cruelty means he cannot perform it properly. Voldemort arrives. Bellatrix's taunts are cut short as Voldemort himself apparates into the atrium. For the first time, Harry sees him up close since the graveyard. Voldemort's arrival is terrifying, cold, calm, and radiating lethal intent. Harry's scar burns like fire as Voldemort raises his wand, aiming the killing curse at him. At that very instant, one of the golden statues from the Fountain of Magical Brethren leaps to life, diving in front of Harry and taking the curse. The Duel of Legends, Dumbledore vs. Voldemort. Albus Dumbledore arrives. With a calm authority that chills Voldemort, he animates the remaining statues, one to guard Harry, another to restrain Bellatrix. The duel begins. What follows is one of the most spectacular magical battles in the series. Voldemort conjures a serpent of fire, Dumbledore counters with torrents of conjured water. Voldemort hurls curses and debris, Dumbledore shields Harry and sends attacks back. The magical energy shatters the atrium's glass, cracks the tiles, and fills the room with smoke and sparks. At one point, Voldemort sends a killing curse at Dumbledore, but Fawkes the Phoenix swoops in, absorbing the curse with his own body. Fawkes bursts into flame, sacrificing himself to save his master, then is reborn from ash heat. Voldemort's possession. Realizing he cannot defeat Dumbledore quickly, Voldemort resorts to a terrifying tactic. He possesses Harry. Harry collapses to the floor, writhing in pain, feeling Voldemort inside his mind and body. Voldemort uses Harry's voice to taunt Dumbledore, "Kill me now, Dumbledore. If death is nothing, Dumbledore, kill the boy." But instead of resisting with anger, Harry thinks of Sirius. His love for his godfather overwhelms Voldemort's hatred.
Voldemort cannot bear such feelings and is forced out of Harry, vanishing with Bellatrix. The Ministry sees the truth. The atrium falls silent just as Cornelius Fudge and Ministry officials arrive, and for a split second, they see Voldemort with their own eyes before he disapparates. The truth can no longer be denied. Voldemort has returned. Dumbledore immediately takes control, calmly issuing instructions. Umbridge will be removed from Hogwarts, Hagrid will be left alone, and the fight against Voldemort will begin in earnest. Then, with Harry exhausted and broken, Dumbledore conjures a portkey to send him back to Hogwarts.
Key moments in the chapter include Harry's heartbreaking realization that Sirius is truly gone, Harry chasing Bellatrix and casting Cruciatus for the first time, Voldemort's dramatic arrival in the Ministry atrium, the epic duel between Dumbledore and Voldemort, one of the most iconic battles in the series, Fawkes's sacrifice, blocking the killing curse, Voldemort possessing Harry and Harry's love ultimately repelling him, Ministry officials, including Fudge, finally witnessing Voldemort, confirming his return. Book versus movie differences. The book shows Harry's intense grief, his chase after Bellatrix, and his attempt at the Cruciatus curse, all mostly removed or softened in the movie.
The duel in the film is visually stunning but omits key moments like Voldemort's possession of Harry and Dumbledore's crucial lines about things worse than death. These missing details make the book's version more emotional and thematically powerful. That wraps up chapter 36, the only one he ever feared. This chapter delivers heartbreak, rage, and the most powerful duel we've seen so far, and it forces the wizarding world to face the truth. Voldemort is back. What's your favorite moment from this duel? Fawkes's sacrifice, the animated statues, or Voldemort's possession of Harry? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back for chapter 37, The Lost Prophecy.
Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today, we're diving into chapter 37 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, titled The Lost Prophecy. This chapter delivers the answers Harry and readers have been waiting for all year, unraveling the mystery behind the shattered prophecy and setting the stage for everything to come. The confrontation in Dumbledore's office. Harry returns to Hogwarts from the Ministry of Magic in a haze of grief and fury. Sirius Black is dead, and Harry feels broken and hollow. He's overwhelmed by guilt, believing his own impulsiveness led Sirius into a trap. When he enters Dumbledore's office, Harry's emotions finally explode. He yells, throws objects, and demands answers. For once, Dumbledore doesn't try to calm him with cryptic words or evasions. He allows Harry to rage, knowing this storm has been building for years. For the first time, Harry sees Dumbledore look truly old and worn. This is not the untouchable wizard of legend, this is a man burdened by regret. And when Harry finally quiets, Dumbledore begins to explain Dumbledore's long-held secret. Dumbledore admits something shocking. He had deliberately avoided Harry all year, keeping his distance even when Harry was in pain. He thought by doing so, he could protect Harry from the dangerous connection between him and Voldemort, the strange mental link that allowed Harry to see into the Dark Lord's mind. But this avoidance caused Harry's isolation and left him vulnerable to manipulation. Harry listens, torn between rage and desperate curiosity. Why, he demands, did Voldemort want that glass sphere in the Department of Mysteries? Why did Sirius die for it? The prophecy revealed, Dumbledore shows Harry what remains of the shattered prophecy. He explains that only those mentioned in a prophecy can retrieve it, which is why the Death Eaters needed Harry to take it off the shelf. The orb he had carried to the battle contained a message recorded years ago by Sybil Trelawney, Hogwarts divination professor. He then recites the prophecy in full, the one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord approaches. Born to those who have thrice defied him, born as the seventh month dies. And the Dark Lord will mark him as his equal, but he will have power the Dark Lord knows not. And either must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives. The words hang in the air like a chill. For the first time, Harry truly understands why Voldemort came after him as a baby, and why he can never truly escape Voldemort's shadow, what the prophecy means. Dumbledore carefully explains that Voldemort heard only part of the prophecy before attacking Harry's parents. He knew a child born at the end of July could vanquish him, but he didn't hear that either must die at the hand of the other. Voldemort chose Harry as that child, marking him as his equal with the lightning-shaped scar. In doing so, Voldemort unknowingly ensured that Harry, and not another child, like Neville Longbottom, became bound to his fate. Harry reels. The prophecy's last line, "Neither can live while the other survives," weighs heavily on him. Does this mean one of them must die? Does this mean he must kill Voldemort or be killed himself? Dumbledore's regret? Dumbledore does something Harry has never seen. He apologizes. He admits he made mistakes. He should have told Harry the prophecy years ago, but he feared burdening him too young. He also feared that Voldemort's connection to Harry's mind would reveal the truth too soon. By keeping Harry in the dark, Dumbledore thought he was protecting him, but he now realizes his silence left Harry unprepared and cost Sirius his life. This moment is deeply emotional. The wise headmaster is humbled, and Harry sees him as human, flawed, and deeply remorseful. Harry's response: Harry is numb. The grief for Sirius hasn't faded, but now it is tangled with the crushing weight of destiny. He wonders if his entire life has been dictated by this prophecy, if he even has choices, or if he's simply marching toward an inevitable battle. Yet beneath the sorrow, a spark of determination stirs. If this is his path, Harry knows he must walk it. Book versus movie differences. The movie version of Order of the Phoenix touches on the prophecy but rushes through Dumbledore's explanation. The book, however, devotes pages to Harry's raw anger, Dumbledore's heartfelt confession, and the word-for-word prophecy, details that add immense depth and emotional weight. Without these, the movie's version feels far less personal. That wraps up Chapter 37, The Lost Prophecy. This chapter changes everything. Harry now knows that the fight with Voldemort is unavoidable, and that one of them must ultimately fall. What do you think? Does the prophecy mean Harry's fate was sealed, or does he still control his own future? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time for the final chapter of Order of the Phoenix. Welcome back to Boundless Books. Today we're delving into the final chapter of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Chapter 38, The Second War Begins. This chapter closes Harry's tumultuous fifth year at Hogwarts and sets the stage for darker times ahead. After loss, revelation, and a whirlwind of emotions, Harry takes his first steps toward accepting his role in the fight against Voldemort. The morning after, the chapter opens in a somber, reflective tone. Hogwarts feels unusually quiet and heavy after the catastrophic events in the Department of Mysteries. Harry, still struggling with the grief of losing Sirius, moves through the castle almost like a ghost. Whispers follow him in the corridors. Students know something terrible happened. Though many only have fragments of the story, Harry keeps mostly to himself, weighed down by a numbness that feels almost protective. Even so, the reality gnaws at him. Sirius, his godfather and linked to his parents, is gone. The prophecy, which Dumbledore finally revealed, looms in his mind, reminding him that he is the one who must face Voldemort. Harry finds himself back in Dumbledore's office, a place that feels both comforting and haunting. The last time he was here, he shattered nearly everything in his fury and grief. Now the repaired silver instruments gleam softly, and Fawkes's soothing presence fills the room. Dumbledore's tone is gentler than ever. He explains more about the prophecy, reassuring Harry that despite its dark implications, choices, not destiny, define who Harry is. Harry's guilt over Sirius's death is palpable, but Dumbledore reminds him that Sirius loved him deeply and chose to fight. This moment is significant. It begins to rebuild the bond between Harry and Dumbledore that was fractured throughout the year. Harry leaves the office still grieving, but with a faint sense of resolve taking root beneath the pain. The school year ends with an uneasy calm. Students pack their trunks, and the corridors are filled with subdued chatter about Voldemort's return. The Ministry has finally acknowledged the truth, and news spreads like wildfire. The once dismissive headlines now scream warnings, and the shadow of war stretches over the wizarding world. The mood among students varies. Some are frightened, others excited by the drama, but all can feel the shift. The days of pretending everything was normal are over. On the morning of departure, Harry joins Ron, Hermione, Neville, Luna, and Ginny as they gather their things.
They share glances and unspoken words, bonded by the harrowing experience. Outside, the Order of the Phoenix is present, keeping watch. Mad-Eye Moody, Tonks, and Lupin stand near the carriages, visibly alert. Their presence is a clear sign. Harry is no longer just a student, he is a target. As the Hogwarts Express chugs along, the group finds a compartment together. Conversation drifts between light and heavy. Ginny cracks small jokes, Luna offers strange but oddly comforting observations, and Ron and Hermione hover protectively around Harry. The grief still lingers, but Harry begins to feel the faint stirrings of something else, determination. He knows Sirius would not have wanted him to drown in despair. He knows what lies ahead won't be easy, but he feels a sense of purpose beginning to burn through the fog of sadness. When the train pulls into King's Cross, the atmosphere changes again. The platform is filled with parents, Aurors, and members of the Order. Harry catches a glimpse of Uncle Vernon, looking as impatient and oblivious as ever, standing apart from the magical world. The contrast is almost jarring, the mundane frustration of the Dursleys against the reality of the Second Wizarding War. Before leaving with the Dursleys, Harry quietly reassures his friends. They will right. They will stay connected. And though they are parting for now, there's a sense they are united for what's coming. Harry steps toward his aunt and uncle, the weight of the prophecy and the war heavy on his shoulders. But there's a subtle difference now. The boy who leaves King's Cross is not the same one who arrived at Hogwarts last September. He has faced grief, danger, and loss and chosen to keep fighting. Key moments in the chapter include Harry's somber reflection on Sirius's death and the prophecy, his calm, healing conversation with Dumbledore in the headmaster's office, the Hogwarts Express departure, filled with subtle tension and guarded protection, the bond between Harry, Ron, Hermione, and the others deepening after the battle, the ominous yet hopeful tone as Harry prepares to face the Dursleys and the future. Book versus movie differences. The movie condenses this ending significantly, cutting much of Harry's grief and reflection. The book offers deeper closure. These pages give Harry emotional growth that the film glosses over, emphasizing his transition from a grieving boy to someone slowly accepting the weight of his destiny. That wraps up chapter 38, The Second War Begins. This chapter closes one of Harry's darkest years but plants the seeds of resolve and unity. The Second Wizarding War has officially begun, and Harry is ready, if not entirely willing, to face it. What was your favorite scene from this chapter? Did you feel the weight of the coming war in this closing moment? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we begin Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.